Welcome to Rivalry Week, presented by Remington. For the 8th straight year, over 70,000 fans will fill the Citrus Bowl in Orlando as Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman College clash in the Walt Disney World Florida Classic next. It doesn't get any bigger than this for these two historically black colleges, Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman, battling for bragging rights in this, the 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic. Hello, everyone. Charlie Neal, along with former NFL quarterback Jay Walker. Welcome to Orlando, and also welcome to the Walt Disney World Florida Classic. And these two teams, Jay, have been playing each other since 1925. But when they get together, forget about the records. You can throw them out the window.
I mean, as if Florida A&M taking on Bethune-Cookman College wasn't enough, these two teams come to the game with something riding on it. For Bethune-Cookman, Coach Alvin White doesn't want to have to endure his second losing season at Bethune-Cookman College, and a chance for Florida A&M head coach Reuben Carter to instill his legacy if he can finish up the season 7-4.
And this game is a story about quarterbacks for both teams. And we'll begin with Bethune-Cookman quarterback Jimmy Russell.
When we talk about Jimmy Russell, you're talking about one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in the nation. Russell has the ability to beat you with his arm in the pocket, as you see here, but he's also got something that's very special. He's got great legs and great athleticism, a quarterback that's very mobile, running and throwing the football. If Jimmy Russell comes to play, the Wildcats will have a big day offensively.
On the other side, you're looking at Bethune-Cookman. You're looking at a man who's a chip off the old block. We're talking about Albert Chester II. His father was a quarterback of the '78 FAMU championship team.
Yeah, Chester's one of those legacy Rattlers. That's how they do things down here in Florida. But Chester's strength is sitting in the pocket. He's got poise and composure. When he can settle down and make the big throws and get the ball to his playmakers, the Rattlers are very tough to beat. If Chester can find his game early, look for the Rattlers to strike early and often.
The fans are ready, the bands are ready, the cheerleaders are ready, and we are ready for this one. And we'll be back with the opening kickoff from Orlando in the Citrus Bowl in just a moment. ESPNU College Football brought to you by Remington Titanium Shavers. And I'll tell you, they've been tailgating for a couple days here in Orlando outside the Citrus Bowl, Jay, and this guy is doing it right.
He's doing a serious job. He's even got the rubber gloves on. That's how you know you're barbecuing a bunch of ribs.
No question about it. Let's look back at the series history between these two squads. Remember, I said this is the 27th edition of the Florida Classic. This is the 60th time they've met. This meeting began way back in 1960, or 1925 rather, 60th meeting. And more importantly, for 2 years they didn't play each other, 83 and 84. There was a dispute on where the game was going to be played, so they didn't play it those 2 years.
And that just put more fuel on the fire on this rivalry, as if things weren't already intense enough. The fact they couldn't agree on a location.
Here's Alvin White, the head coach of the Rattlers of Bethune-Cookman College. In his 10th year, only one losing season in his 10th year, and trying not to have one this year. If he wins today, he will be over 500. His counterpart in his second year as the head man in Tallahassee, Reuben Carter, whose team has won the toss and has elected to receive. Roosevelt Kaiser is the deep man, number 7, to receive the opening kickoff. Bethune-Cookman College, their kickoff man is Jesus Cortez. And you're talking about Roosevelt Kaiser, what he's been able to do, averaging 24 yards per kickoff return. Ranked number 1 in the conference in all-purpose yards. He brings it out from 2 yards deep in the end zone. And he's still on his feet, up across the 30 and out to about the 34-yard line on the opening return, a 34-yard return for Roosevelt Kaiser. Albert Chester, the quarterback for the Rattlers of Florida A&M. There he is from Jacksonville, Florida. He's a junior, 5'11", from Episcopal High. 62% completion ratio this year, 1,647 yards in passing, 13 touchdowns, and only 3, or make that 5 interceptions. From their own 34, FAMU goes to work. One lone setback behind the quarterback, Chester. And he hands it off, and it's the freshman, Demetric Henry, on the carry for about 4 yards on the play, out to about the 37-yard line. Henry, a freshman out of Gifford, Florida, from Vero Beach. As we look at the backfield for the Rattlers, Lawson and Henry in the backfield. Hayward, Kaiser, and Todd Jenkins are the receivers. The offensive line of Dan Parrish, a senior, along with Leonard Black, Steve Brazo, Robert Kuntz, and Justin Delaney. Black is the other senior in that offensive line for the Rattlers of Florida A&M. Hayward is the man in motion. Back to pass out of the backfield. We have a flag down. The pass is complete to Henry. He gets across midfield, but let's see what the penalty marker is all about. Our officials today, Fleming Williams is our referee. As you look at Demetric Henry, they're very high on him. He got his first start against South Carolina State, and the penalty is going to be against Bethune. So that's going to be declined, I'm sure, by the Rattlers. They'll take the results of the play. Here's Fleming Williams, our referee. Now let's look at the defense of the Rattlers of Florida. I should say Bethune-Cookman College, the Wildcats. And we'll look at it after this particular play. That penalty against Bethune-Cookman, offsides. That was Eric Wilson who was offsides, but it is a first down inside the 45 to the 44-yard line. Chester this time working from the shotgun. Plenty of time. Has it batted down at the line of scrimmage. I believe that was King that knocked it down. Dennis King, the junior, number 92, from Daytona Beach, Florida. As we look at the defense for Bethune, Dennis King, who just batted down that pass, along with Eric Wilson, Ramon McCullough, and Rodney Hughes up front. The linebackers, a good pair or threesome, and Ronnie McCullough, Torian Charles, and Josh Balloon. The secondary, Bobby Williams, at one point in the year was leading the nation in interceptions, along with James Mons, Travis Rowland, and Ben Ballard. It is second down and 10. In motion is Hayward. Pressure incomplete. The pressure being applied by Ramon McCullough on the quarterback. He did get it off, but it was very close to a sack.
I think that's going to be the key, is he didn't have time to get that ball off. He had a wide open fullback in the flat, wasn't able to complete the pass because of the pressure by Bethune-Cookman. The matchup is going to be whenever FAMU drops back and throw the football, Bethune-Cookman is committed to playing man-to-man, one-on-one coverage with the Rattler wide receivers. One lone setback remains in the backfield on this third down and 10 play coming up for Florida A&M. And now timeout is called. I think that was Florida A&M called a timeout. So they wanted to get something right. 13:33 is the time remaining. We're in the first quarter, the first series of the ball game, and we'll be back in a moment.
Is professional power for homeowners.
It's always a great time to visit the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. This year, no exception. Disney invites you to the Year of a Million Dreams, a first-of-its-kind event. Each and every day during the Year of a Million Dreams, the Disney cast will surprise guests with magical moments and enchanting entertainment, happening only during this very special year at the place where dreams come true, Walt Disney World. Along with Jay Walker, Charlie Neal here for this 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic. Third down and 10 for the Rattlers of Florida A&M. An empty backfield now for Roosevelt Kaiser and the offense. This drive started at their own 34. They're across midfield. Under pressure, the quarterback is sacked. And that is the 10th time, only the 10th time this year that he has been sacked. And it was Rodney Hughes who came up with the sack defensively.
Great job by the Bethune-Cookman Wildcat defense. You got the front four getting pressure on the quarterback, yet everybody in the secondary had great man-to-man coverage on the wide receiver, not allowing Albert Chester time to look downfield and go through his natural progression, reading the defense.
And one of the things that Alvin Wyatt was upset about in their loss a week ago was the play of their defense. He said he was going to make some changes this week, and they came through with a good showing that time. And this one, does it go out of bounds?
On the 1-inch line,
I believe it did. Right. Boy, I'll tell you, that's a coffin corner kick if I've ever seen one. You're talking about putting it out at the 1 and burying a team deep in its own territory. A 45-yard punt that time for Florida A&M's Wesley Taylor, who's ranked #1 in the conference in punting and 17th in the nation. And a full day of college football at ESPNU continues tonight at 7:30 Eastern. The South Florida Bulls take on the #10 ranked Louisville Cardinals. College football rivalry week presented by Remington on ESPNU. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com.
Louisville's another one of those teams caught up in this BCS chase, and I don't know how it's all going to play out. You got a big game taking place in Columbus, but you got games coming up. SC, Notre Dame, Cal, all these other big games are coming, so it's going to be some interesting things going to happen the last couple of weeks of the college football.
No question about it. Jimmy Russell, there he is. The stats on him. He's been the man. He did not start a week ago. In fact, Alvin Wyatt disciplined some players, about 3 or 4 players for breaking some team rules, and they had a penalty, and they
can't go back any further. Oh, well.
He'll be in the end zone. And there's Alvin Wyatt over pleading his case on the sideline to the field judge. That is Dwayne Burrell. It is first and we'll call it 10. Like you said, you can't go back much further. Russell from the end zone throws it out. Kaiser make that. Rucker is starting, actually, and he was trying to get it to Weems, and it goes incomplete off his hands. Actually, Gerard Rucker is getting the start today. Russell did not start a week ago, and he is not starting today.
Hey, that tough love continues for Alvin Wyatt on Jimmy Russell. You see Jared Rucker here. I like this call. Throwing the ball out of the end zone, as long as you've got a quarterback that doesn't get sacked, and man, that was very close to being a completion. He's got to drag his foot, give his quarterback a chance, and make the official make that tough call of the incomplete pass.
Well, I thought he would have had the completion had he held onto the football. Now Russell's in there on the second play. So I don't let you start, but I'll let you come in on this. I'm not going to leave you out on the bench too long. Here's Russell running it out of the end zone. Gains to the 5-yard line, maybe 4 yards, we'll call it. It'll be second down, make that third down, and about 6 as we look at the offense with Corey Counsell, Eric Weems. In the backfield, Justin Brannon, the running back, along with Jonathan Summers and Victor Johnson, the other wide receivers. Offensive line, Ryan Griffin, Terrence Massey, Blake Verino, Riondo Lee, and Ruben Mordecai. Third down conversions this year, 52% for Bethune, which is pretty good when you consider all the third downs they faced throughout the season. Here's Russell standing in there, throws, caught by Weems, and he's going to be short of a first down as he gets it to about the 10-yard line. He had to get across the 10 to about the 10.5, and I think he's going to be about a half a yard shy.
And had Russell been able to get that ball up there and not force Weems to turn around, take a look at the location of this throw. He gets it out there, great read, but by him slowing down the wide receiver, Weems was never able to get his momentum forward to carry him across the first down marker. That play was that close to being a first down.
So that brings on the punting unit. Adam Ward averaging just about 35 yards per punt for him this year. He's a freshman from Mandarin High in Jacksonville, Florida. Kaiser is the deep man to receive this punt. Good kick by Ward. Kaiser, he lets it go. And he just misjudged that one. And it's a 54-yard punt for Adam Ward. No return and no score here in Orlando.
Now.
Alvin Wyatt in his 10th year as the head coach in Daytona Beach. And one of the things I did before the game was with the locker room. I wanted to check out his wardrobe before the game just to see what he was going to wear today. And
Did he show it to you? He normally doesn't do that.
No, he didn't. Oh. He had it in his bag. He hadn't changed yet. First down and 10 at their own 36-yard line. The Rattlers of Florida A&M, second possession of the afternoon, and nothing doing that time, as coming up with the big stop for the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats was Travis Rowland, the defensive back, number 35 there.
We'll talk about what's going to take for these teams to be successful. If you're Bethune-Cookman, he's a little switched up a little bit, actually. For Florida A&M, the key is Roosevelt Kaiser's got to get his touches. He's got to play well, and they've got to figure out a way to contain the wishbone. Bethune-Cookman, on the other hand, they've got to get Williams involved. Special teams, punt returns, everything else. And Bobby Williams, their big-time defender. You're talking about one of the #1 passing attacks in the MEAC Conference. Williams has to make his presence felt.
And there you look at Roosevelt Kaiser there, the senior from Fort Lauderdale, from Boyd Anderson High. From the shotgun and an empty backfield, he zipped that across the middle to Kaiser, but he didn't have to throw it that hard. Kaiser had his defender beat by about 4 or 5 yards. That was Brandon Wingfield he had beat, and he didn't have to sing it like that. You a quarterback, you understand touch.
He was throwing the ball instead of passing the ball. You got to be a passive person. What happens with quarterbacks, you get in the game in this environment on a larger scale, and you're so hyped up, and you got all this energy, and it's a nervous type of energy. You tend to rush things and force things in there and throw balls a little bit too hard. But as Chester settles down, you expect him to complete that pass later on in the ball game.
So it'll bring up a 3rd and 11 from the 35 for Florida A&M. Chester trying to buy some time, rolling to the right, lets it go, and he's hit immediately again. Coming up is Hughes to make the stop, and Hughes sacked him the last possession, and he comes up and puts pressure on the quarterback. Albert Chester once again bringing up a punting situation.
You like when your defensive ends get hits on quarterback, and you've got a quarterback that's mobile and wants to get outside the pocket. Well, you need your defensive end to come up with big plays whenever they have to get the quarterback, hit the quarterback, and they get an incomplete pass.
A coffin corner kick the first time for Wesley Taylor. Let's see what he does this time. Good hang time. Weems is down there, and it goes out of bounds at about the 30-yard line. And let's go to the studio. Mike Gleason and Steve Israel for SportsCenter U in-game update. Gentlemen.
Charlie, Michigan has scored against Ohio State. First possession, Chad Henne, you said he had to play well.
Manningham runs a post, and the corner, Antonio Smith, opens the gate. It's a perfect route for that coverage for Michigan.
Henne 4 for 4 on the drive, sets up Mike Hart. He bounces to the outside for the score. And Michigan, on their first possession, moving down the field, grabbing a 7-0 lead over #1 Ohio State. Again, Henne 4 for 4, 67 yards. Let's head back to Orlando now with Charlie.
All right, thank you. The Wolverines striking early. Here's a pass out in the flat to Weems. And I'll tell you, the defense was there immediately, and that was Brian Parker, number 57. So number 57 has played a prominent role on both sides of the line of scrimmage today for both teams.
Yeah, that's a big play by Brian Parker, because Bethune-Cookman is very effective at running those wide receiver bubble screens. And if you let them get into a flow and rhythm, continuing to run that play over and over again, they'll kill you with it. So it's good when you can get your linebacker out there, put a hard tackle on the wide receiver, to tell Bethune-Cookman, not today. You're not going to get away with that little cheap pass in this football game.
From their own 32-yard line, a loss of 1 on that pass out to Weems. It'll bring up a 2nd down and 11. Here's the option. Almost disaster as it gets into the hands of Hampton. Chauncey Hampton, he was very fortunate to hold on to that, because that could have been a fumble.
That's what you got to do. They're doing an option off of the end, coming in on Tyrone McGriff. Quarterback can't get his feet set, hangs that lob in, that toss in the air a little bit. It's kind of lobbed it out there, and that gave the linebacker an opportunity to get there and make the tackle.
Arboleta was the linebacker you're speaking of, number 48, sophomore from Madison High down in Tampa, Florida. And he came up and made a good defensive play. It'll bring up 3rd down. We'll still call it 10.
3rd down and 10 to go. 3rd and 10 to go.
Russell wants to go to the air. The option has a little running room, but not much, and gains maybe 3 or 4 yards before he's brought down by a host of green jerseys, and it'll bring up another punting situation for the Wildcats at Bethune-Cookman College.
So you take a look at the Rattlers just swarming to the quarterback with an all-out blitz, forcing Russell to get outside the pocket. Arbolito again doing a good job of making the quarterback contain himself in the pocket. Early on in this game, neither team's able to find the rhythm. No team is going to be successful on 3rd and long situations, and both defenses have put the other offense in 3rd and long.
Kaiser deep, First punt by Cortez was 54 yards. This one goes out of bounds at about the 34-yard line, and that's where Florida A&M will get the ball for the third time after a 26-yard punt.
The Omen.
There's a new mountain at Walt Disney World Resort. It's Expedition Everest at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Take on the treacherous terrain of the towering Forbidden Mountain on this high-altitude, high-speed train adventure. Nail-biting hairpin turns hurl you through the mountain, but beware of the snarling beast who watches over his domain. Yeti, the Bigfoot man. You know him, don't you?
That's my cousin. We both got big feet. And speaking of big men, there goes the defensive coordinator for Florida A&M, Charles Huff, trying to talk to his defense right now about the assignments. When you're taking on a team that runs this wide-bone, wishbone, it's all about assignment defense, so he's making sure they realize their roles and responsibilities.
Russell, make that Chester, rather. 1 of 5 in the passing department, hands off to Henry, trying to go to the right side, and he gets it to the 40-yard line. A gain of 6 on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 4. Actually, we got Edwards in the lineup now. Anthony Edwards, a sophomore from Atlanta's Riverdale High, one of 6 kids.
6 kids. Wow, no wonder he's a good running back. You got to learn how to run and fight people to the kitchen table eating dinner.
Run for everything, right? It'll be 2nd down and 4 right now. Edwards stays in there, and he gets the handoff once again. Bounces off of one tackler, but he can't get away from McCullough, who was the first man to hit him there. Number 2, the defensive tackle. When you talk about the defense of this Florida A&M team, and you look at their defense overall, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players on the defensive side of the ball that transferred from other programs, and it's been a very interesting mix trying to get that chemistry together.
I mean, when you're relying on transfers, you're trying to get a quick fix. I mean, sometimes if you get them early in their career when they're freshmen, you can turn them and get them to believe in the program. But other times the downside is a transfer comes in and they're out for self.
And now we get a whistle, maybe a timeout's being called. That actually will have a delay of game. And I was speaking of Bethune-Cookman's defense. I may have mentioned Florida A&M, but it's Bethune-Cookman's defense. I mean, we're talking about the transfers. We're talking about Ronnie McCullough, Ramon McCullough, Torian Charles, Eric Wilson, Josh Balloon, and James Mons, all transferred from
and they start.
So yeah, and they're starting.
Their impact. So it's a quick fix, and I don't think it's a long-term solution, but in certain situations it can be effective.
3rd down and 9. Chester. This one is complete. 1st down at midfield. Roosevelt Kaiser on the reception. Good for 15 yards and move the chains.
And that's what Albert Chester can do when you give him time to go through his reads. When you've got teams playing man-to-man coverage, it's going to take a little bit longer for them to get open to separate. So he's got time, he's got a pocket, and Roosevelt Kaiser separates from the linebacker. He'll win that matchup all day long. The key is going to be, can FAMU continue to give Chester that type of time to look downfield?
And he moved the ball across midfield for the 2nd time this afternoon. With that completion, only a 2nd to Roosevelt Kaiser. In motion, Derek Williams. Here's a little swing pass. And down the sideline for 1st down is Derek Williams, the man that was going in motion. The junior from Port St. Lucie, Florida, his 26th reception of the year.
And the key is when he goes in motion, he's got him beat on position and shifting. He went in a soft motion, outran the Bethune-Cookman Wildcat defense to the corner. It was just a sprint. You know, the one thing that Bethune-Cookman is not used to is having a team on the field that's just as fast as they are. Normally they talk about the Florida speed, and we can outrun everybody and catch them. Well, you're playing against another team from Florida, and if you don't have yourself in great position, you're not going to catch these Rattlers.
At the 36, 1st down and 10, 36 of Bethune-Cookman College. Long handoff, and it's Edwards. And he stumbled as he got to the line of scrimmage. Anthony Edwards. We're in Orlando, Florida at the Citrus Bowl for this 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic. Florida A&M along With Bethune-Cookman College doing battle along with Jay Walker, I'm Charlie Neal, and there's your total yards for the game. FAMU dominating in that department, 41-14. Plenty of time, plenty of people there. Pick your poison, who was going to receive it. And on the receiving end is Derek Williams, once again his second reception of the day. And it'll be first down at the 11.
Yeah, I mean, poor spacing by the Rattler wide receiver core, but when you've got a weakness in the defense, you don't mind if you've got two folks attacking the same spot in the secondary. Roosevelt Kaiser was a clear out, and he was supposed to get there, but take a look here by Albert Chester, making the throw and delivering a strike, and a good job by the wide receiver to get his body inbounds. Derek Williams, their big play guy.
Somebody ran the wrong play or wrong pattern. There was two men in the same area. As you look at it, Edwards on the carry, and he's tripped up by Rowland defensively for Bethune.
When we talk about the pass attack for Florida A&M, both these schools are leading the MEAC conference in passing yardage. They both average over 200 yards per game throwing the ball. Bethune gets theirs more with the element of surprise, where Florida A&M more of a pure drop back, stay in the pocket type passing attack. 8th
play of this drive. Chester is 3 for 3 in the passing department during this drive. And Anthony Edwards is the back in the backfield with him on 2nd down and 14. It was a loss of 4 on the previous play. Wants to go to the air. Plenty of time. Throws into the corner. Too big. Just couldn't get it to Wright, the intended receiver there, Ronald Wright, the junior from Washington High in Miami, Florida.
Yeah, you had the look that you wanted. One-on-one coverage. Bethune-Cookman was bringing the blitz. Florida A&M had the protection. Take a look at the blitz coming. Linebackers coming up. They've got protection. They get caught in the wash. Just overthrew his wide receiver by that much in defense of the wide receiver. Even if the ball would have been thrown perfectly, that angle with the sun coming into play right at the last second there, that might have had something to do with him not being able to locate the football and jump up and make the catch.
Now Bethune-Cookman calls a timeout. Don't forget to log on to your new online source for all things college sports at ESPNU.com. This brand new online service will be a gateway to all college sports content from ESPN, combining the latest news with an expanded collection of new exclusive material, scores, columns, video, and audio highlights, podcasts, live streaming games, and much, much more. Don't forget to log on to ESPNU.com today. Now you look at this Florida A&M team, Jay. Team started the season with a loss to Delaware State in Detroit. Then they played Miami. I'm talking about the Miami.
The U.
The U. They lost to them 51-10. And then they won 3 straight games. They beat your alma mater, Howard University. Outscored Howard 14-6 in the last 11 minutes of the game after the score was tied. They beat Winston-Salem after trailing 21-10. They won that one 25-21. They had to go into overtime to beat Tennessee State. They led 19-7, but needed Wesley Taylor to kick 4 field goals in that game to win it. They lost to South Carolina State by 7. They beat Norfolk State in overtime. They beat Morgan State by 1. They beat A&T 45-12 before losing to 11th ranked Hampton a week ago, 59-7.
I mean, that was a disappointing thing. I mean, they didn't lose to Hampton. They got spanked by Hampton. Yeah. 59-7. Very disappointing on all aspects. But, I guess as the season progressed, that loss to Delaware State turned out to be not so bad. Delaware State was the surprise team in the MEAC conference this season. But key is Coach Ruben Carter's got this team going in the right direction. And I think it all started with his big victory last year in this game when he secured a winning season for the Rattlers.
FAMU 1 of 3 in 3rd down conversions. Now the Rattlers call a timeout. That may be their last. That may be their last timeout, isn't it?
No, I think they've got one more. I think earlier was a Bethune-Cookman timeout. But
well, I know they had a couple timeouts they've called. Well, last year was an exciting game. In fact, the last 2 games here ended in overtime. Bethune-Cookman last year, as you look at Alvin Wyatt, got out to an early 17-0 lead, but Florida A&M rallied. Wesley Taylor kicked a 43-yarder with 13 seconds left. That set the game in overtime, And then Bethune-Cookman's Jesus Cortez missed a 40-yarder. It was wide right in the overtime. That set up the game-winning field goal. And it was Mr. Wesley Taylor, the man on the spot, the 17-yarder, and 26-23, the final score a year ago.
Yeah, what that game did was FAMU came into that game 5-5. When they won that football game and they were down 17-0 early, it made everybody start to believe and get excited for the upcoming football season. It secured Coach Reuben Carter. His first campaign was a winning campaign, and they rolled that momentum through this year. This season, they've never been in jeopardy of going less than 500.
Alvin Wyatt not happy about something on the sideline, and we talked about Florida A&M season. Bethune-Cookman started out with a 1-point loss to Southern University, in which they committed 3 turnovers. In fact, they had more total yards than the Jaguars of Southern University. Russell had 187 yards passing in that game. Then they beat Savannah State, South Carolina State, Norfolk State before losing to Morgan and Delaware State. Those were the disappointing losses. But they said Coach Wyatt will tell you that South Carolina State game, even though they won, hurt them more than any other game this season because they were beat up physically in that game. And the players, a lot of them are just recovering from that game. And that was like the 3rd game of the season.
Yeah, it was a big win, but they won the battle, but they definitely lost the war. And that took them out of MEAC contention with all those injuries. It just decimated their troops.
1 of 3 in 3rd down conversions today for the Rattlers of Florida A&M, and they're facing a 3rd down and 10 at their own 15-yard line. 3rd and about 14, actually. Wide open! Touchdown! Derek Williams. Wide open. That's a blown coverage somewhere.
Blown coverage. You got Bethune-Cookman committed to trying to bring the blitz, but they're missing it. You've got one-on-one coverage on the outside. Nobody was there. So right now they're just basically wasting the blitz. And take a look at Derek Williams. Just one move there. Oh, wow. They were supposed to do a switch off. They tried to play what they call red cover 2. If your guy makes an inside move, I got him. But Wingfield made the mistake. Once he goes beyond 5 yards, you're taught stay with him to the completion of the route. That's a mental mistake.
Derek Williams with his 2nd touchdown reception of the year. The point after by Wesley Taylor, who's not missed one this year. He is perfect, 26 of 26. Puts it through the uprights, and we have, oh, it was no good. He missed it. Oh, I was just singing his praises. I'm thinking he got it through there.
Yeah, you know, you can't do that in a game like this.
You can't miss those.
You can't miss those because you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, one team can fall down by 2 scores and another, but you got every point counts here. And, you know, take a look here. This is just a little rub route. Chester did a pump fake when he didn't even need it. One-on-one coverage, and he's got Williams getting behind the secondary. And because of the mental mistake, the Rattlers were able to capitalize and take an early 6-0 lead in this football game.
9 plays, 66 yards, 3:39 off the clock. And I don't know who was happier, Albert Chester, Derek Williams, or Anthony Collins, the offensive guard who was blocking on that play, number 60. He almost knocked the receiver down during a chest bump.
Yeah, you know, that was a team effort there.
Let's go to the studio where Mike Gleason has an update on the Michigan-Ohio State game. Take it away, Mike.
Well, Charlie, the Buckeyes came right back and scored 4 for 4 on 3rd down conversions.
No, not Ted Ginn, not Anthony Gonzalez, but Roy Hall, the big senior, the forgotten guy.
Out of Cleveland, he had 3 catches on the drive, and now it is 7-7 Michigan getting ready for their 2nd possession. Both teams have scored on their first. Troy Smith, 9 of 11 on the drive.
On the kickoff, the return by Corey Counsell gets it back to the 20-yard line, a 10-yard return. And Bethune-Cookman will get the ball for the 3rd time today.
You know, one of the things that makes this game so special, we know about the rivalry and the great players that have played in and out, but I'll go on record as saying this game features 2 of the best bands in black college football. I mean, when one team is down, you know the team that's winning just by the noise sections here in this crowd. It's been nonstop music playing up and down, and the Marching 101 from FAMU are representing right now, and the Bethune-Cookman Wildcat band is just waiting their turn to shine.
They certainly are. Jimmy Russell has his team set. Hampton with the ball was an option to the left side and nothing doing that time as the defense of Florida A&M led by Tyrone McGriff, whose dad also played on that 78 championship team. The first ever 1AA playoff championship was won by Florida A&M.
Yeah, you know, Mike, you take a look at McGriff coming from the left side of your screen, away from the plate. That's what you need when you've got athletic guys. McGriff is 6'1", 230 pounds, but that's why you have those quick guys on the end, the ability to chase down a quarterback from behind.
One of the things that's inspiring for Reuben Carter is he only loses 2 seniors from his whole defense this season, and that is one of them, and Tyrone McGriff not one of them. Williams being one, as the run off the left side by the quarterback Jimmy Russell is about a yard shy of a first down. It'll bring up 3rd down and 1.
You know, Jimmy Russell, he's a slippery quarterback. You know, look at him, just sliding in between there. You think you got him, he gives you a little hip here and a little hip there. Real elusive and tough to bring down one-on-one in space. Jimmy Russell for Bethune-Cookman.
Now, speaking of the 2 seniors, Chris Wooten at left tackle and the right tackle Albert Williams are the only 2 seniors on the defensive side of the ball for the Rattlers of Florida A&M. And Bethune-Cookman without a first down in the ball game so far. Let's see if they can convert now on 3rd down and 1. Russell, he gets the first down with plenty to spare, still on his feet, and across the 40 to the 44-yard line goes Jimmy Russell, a gain of 15.
Yeah, that was a touchdown saving tackle made in the secondary by Jason Beeks, the free safety. And that's what we mean about Jimmy Russell. You know, he's slippery. He doesn't look like he's moving too fast. He's in the control and looks a little too passive in the secondary. He gets by the line of scrimmage and acts like no big deal, but he's very hard to bring down, very elusive, and very smooth.
1st down and 10.
One of the things that Bethune-Cookman likes to do, they run what they call the Wyatt bone. They go places they call the wishbone and the drive bone and the A-bone. Well, they call it the Wyatt bone. It means they really attack the A-gap and like to exploit the perimeter.
Again, Russell on the people. The ball is out, and FAMU may have it. The officials, no signal yet. Yes. The first turnover of the ball game. Bethune-Cookman coughs it up.
Like it was big Tyrone McGriff that came away with the football, and we just said on the previous play, Russell gets a little too comfortable with that football. He's got it there and does a good job by just taking it out of his hand. That's a clear fumble, and that's what happens when you've got these 180-pound quarterbacks trying to mix it up with the big boys. The defensive tackle up front for FAMU, Chris Wooten and Albert Williams, did a 1-2 job on Russell to strip the ball.
We'll see how that plays into the scheme of things here for the Rattlers of Florida A&M if they're able to take advantage of the turnover. They were -10. That is Florida A&M coming into the game in the giveaway takeaway department. So that's encouraging right there as far as that stat is concerned. Pass out in the flat, flanker screen. Coming back across the middle of the field, running into the umpire. Umpire couldn't get out of the way, but a 5-yard gain. Reuben Carter on the sideline. Roosevelt Kaiser was the flanker screen man.
Yeah, I can't blame. Look at the official. He's right there in the middle of your screen. He thinks, okay, the ball's going way over to the sideline. I'm out of play. But when you've got a guy that likes to use the whole field like Roosevelt Kaiser, he attacked the middle of the field and went head up with the official.
Attacked the umpire there, Willie Little. Wide open for first down at the 30-yard line. On the reception is Willie Hayward, and Hayward makes his 43rd reception of the year, the number 2 receiver on this Florida A&M team.
Great job of coaching by the Florida A&M offensive unit right now. When you've got a team that likes to play man-to-man coverage, you put extra wide receivers out there and force them to play zone, and they start to think too much, and they shift around the formation, and you don't give them a chance to get set in their ways.
And here's a little screen to the outside. Fumbled out of bounds, and a flag is down. The receiver, again, Derek Williams, the man who has the touchdown for the Rattlers. This one may come back.
Yeah, you know, when you throw these wide receiver screens to the outside, the key is the outside blocking. Receivers, they're not blockers. They like to catch balls, and they're going to catch them holding on the outside.
Now it'll be marked from the spot of the hole. They're saying the hold took place at about the 29-yard line. Clement Williams, our referee. Ronald Wright guilty of the hold.
This is what's going to happen now is with the holding there on the offense, we're going to have one of these rare untimed downs in college football where the clock won't run, and this will be the last play officially of the first quarter.
Because on a 1st and 19, ball spotted all the way back at the 39 now. Albert Chester has time. Going to the end zone. Kaiser knocked down. Great defensive play. Coming over to make the stop was Ballard. Or was that 42 defensively for
Michael Williams.
Mike Williams. Right. What a defensive play by Michael Williams to save everything. The sophomore from Miami. He just saved 6 for the Wildcats.
Yeah.
Mike Williams, the man who saved the day with the defensive play so far of the day.
Let's take a look here. You see Mike Williams on the left side of your screen. Florida A&M is going to keep 8 linemen in to protect the quarterback. But once this play gets going, they only send out 2 wide receivers. And how does this 1 wide receiver get behind him? Great protection up front. You got to question, how is Kaiser able to get back there? But Michael Williams showing his athleticism to play catch-up, even though that shouldn't happen schematically because they overprotected. 2-man route. Mike Williams, good job on the breakup.
One of those transfers we talked about earlier for Bethune came out of Florida International. He's a sophomore from Archbishop Curley High down in Miami, Florida. Started at the weak linebacker spot against Howard a week ago in their 28-0 loss. Chester throws, has it complete inside the 30. And the spot is going to be at about the 31-yard line. The forward progress, I thought, should have been at about the 30, but he's still going to be real short, about 10 yards of a first down.
That's a good matchup over there. Willie Hayward, big 6'4", 200-pound wide receiver from Florida A&M, playing big, catching curl routes, going against James Mons, the big cornerback from Bethune-Cookman.
So we'll call it 3rd down and 11 for the Rattlers of Florida A&M. The ball spotted at the 31-yard line.
Pressure coming. You see number 1 on your screen. That's Bobby Williams, the free safety for Bethune-Cookman. He's the free safety. Nobody deep in the middle of the field. Will they be able to get to the quarterback is going to be the key.
Derek Williams was the man in motion. They just got it off before the play clock went down, and this goes incomplete. Closest receiver to it was Gerard Morgan, and it had no chance of being complete.
They were definitely going to get to the quarterback, even though Florida A&M tried to move the pocket. But you've got everybody coming but the kitchen sink, and they're trying to do a little counteract and wide receiver screen. And the quarterback didn't have time to get a good catchable ball to his wide receiver.
So now a 47-yard field goal attempt by Wesley Taylor. That would be his longest of the season. He kicked a 47-yarder against Tennessee State earlier this year. He's 13 of 20. Remember, he missed an extra point earlier, his first extra point miss of the year. Roosevelt Kaiser is the holder. The kick is up. It's got the distance, but it's wide to the left. So 2 missed kicks today from the very steady Wesley Taylor, the junior from Riverview, Florida, who doesn't miss very often. Back here where it's 6-0 as we start the second quarter here in Orlando, Florida, the 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic. Charlie Neal along with Jay Walker. We're joined here in the booth by a young man who's heard nationwide on ABC radio, Doug Banks, the Doug Banks Morning Show.
Yes.
Comes your way out of Dallas. Welcome, Doug.
Good to see you, Charlie.
Yes, indeed.
Good to see you,
Last time I saw you, you were in junior high school, and I was in grade school.
Yes.
No,
yes. You know what? This man, I need to tell you all, you watch him all the time, but I grew up watching him in Detroit, and I used to think it was so cool because he was so good at what he did. So it's just a real pleasure to be with you.
That one is intercepted. The pass intercepted.
Wow.
Florida A&M comes up with the INT. And coming up with the interception is Ernest Williams for the Rattlers of Florida A&M. So the second straight turnover for Bethune-Cookman College.
And that's one of those changes. You know, Bethune-Cookman has really been outplayed, but they were only down by 6. But yet you come out, you get a chance to get yourself a lead, get back in the football game, and you see the quarterback Rucker there forcing the issue, just a lazily thrown ball. And you can't throw balls like that against a fast defensive unit like the Rattlers.
And And, of course, I'm sure Coach is giving him an earful. So from the Bethune 45-yard line, the second straight time that Florida A&M has started at the Bethune 45-yard line. Let's see what happens here. Here's Chester under pressure. Bethune-Cookman College comes back with a big sack by Travis Rowland. But again, Doug, you were in town yesterday to help promote this particular event. We had a chance to visit with you over at MGM, and it was a pleasure.
It was a great time hanging out. The Classic is always good. And I want to point something out. I feel really underdressed. You cats are in ties today.
We're working.
It's not the look of yesterday.
But you're working.
And I was going to say, hey, your viewers they listen to you all the time. Yes, they don't see you, so they get to finally see what you look like. And that's what I'm always worried about in terms of radio personalities. I'm always saying, what's that guy look like? So you kind of came out of the closet. You gave him that magical trick.
That's it.
Well, when you talk about black colleges, you do a lot. You talk about that. What do HBCUs mean to you and to your listeners out there, Doug?
Well, you know what? Because we have such a great show, and our show is in terms of our audience, which is mostly African American. A lot of our markets that we're in do have historical black colleges in them. So it's very important because not only do they have our leadership in terms of what we do, we try when it's time for homecomings and things like that. We're at several around the country, including FAMU. Savannah State is another one, and so many more. So it's a big part of what we do. The historical black colleges and their students are a big part of our audience.
And a third down facing, make it 3rd and 19. And they're just getting it off. Long pass again. Battle for the loose ball. And it's caught. Touchdown. They're going to call penalty flag, pass interference. Hayward was the receiver. Now they're going to call offensive interference. Jay, you think so?
If they don't call it, then that's robbery. Hayward did a good job. You want your big wide receiver to play big, but he clearly pushed off the DB in order to get extra separation and catch that ball. That's got to be offensive pass interference. Take a look here. It's a good job by Chester. You see him getting aggressive, and look at that. He throws a nice, pretty tight spiral, but Hayward at the end of that was being covered well. He pushed off. I think he knows it. That's why he didn't celebrate too much once he got into the end zone.
Well, the officials are still conferring. The back judge, side judge, referee, and everybody else downfield. Let's listen to Fleming Williams. Dead ball foul. Even though it was pass interference. I know Alvin Wyatt's about to take his belt buckle off now.
This crowd is so big and so neutral. You got boos from both sides, so they're really into the game here. And that's just something else. I guess it comes, when did the personal foul take place? I think that's what they want to know.
And there's Bethune-Cookman's number 27 there, Raphael Cox, the man who was whistled for the dead ball foul. Now that there's making sure that they enforce this rule.
Yeah, they'll get that right. Let me ask you a question, Doug. You've seen a lot of coaches. What do you think about Coach Wyatt's wardrobe on game day?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, look at that. I'm feeling that too. That's straight. He dresses like me. I like that.
He can go from the field to the club tonight if he
really
wants
ready.
to do that.
Oh, he's ready. And I don't doubt we won't see him in the club tonight. That belt buckle is standing out, isn't it?
Now, yesterday, you put Charlie and I on the spot in terms of the pregame hype and the pep rally they had. I'm going to ask you. You're a music guy on the radio. Who's going to win the Battle of Bands at halftime?
I got to go with the Marching 100, man. Hands down.
Okay.
Hands down. They are spectacular. As you know what, and that's really the thing about black college football. The game is great, but everybody waits for halftime.
Now, you know I'm a former football player. I'm all about the game now.
I know you are. You're a Bison. I know you are. I know you are.
It's too bad, isn't it? It is first down and 10 after all of that for Florida A&M. The ball spotted at their own 46-yard line. Taj Jenkins was the man in motion, the tight end. And let's go to the studio where Mike Gleason is standing by at SportsCenter U for an on-game update.
Well, Charlie, we've got the Iron Bowl going on. Alabama and Auburn 7-3. Brad Lester's already scored. Kenny Irons adds a touchdown for the Tigers, and it's 14-3 now. Auburn on top, Charlie.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike.
That's interesting.
Yes, it is.
The fact that Auburn has not lost in Tuscaloosa since they moved that game to a home-and-home series, and looks like things are going to continue to go the way for the Tigers in Tide territory.
Yeah, they're really hard on Mr. Shula down there, aren't they?
You said that, not me.
Here's Albert Chester, falls down after he gets back to the line of scrimmage, trying to scramble away. The pressure from that defense of Bethune-Cookman has become very relentless, even though the offense has turned the ball over the last 2 times they've had possession.
Yeah, you can tell that Coach Wyatt got upset when they turned that football over. He got aggressive. Ever since then, every play has been a blitz from the outside, trying to get to the quarterback. He said enough of this passive stuff. It's not working. You see right now they're getting ready to blitz the quarterback again. Nobody deeper than 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. So Coach Wyatt's trying to motivate his team to get into this football game.
The 3 of 5 in third down conversions for Florida A&M today. It is 3rd down and 10. There's a long pass again. Same receiver, but no results from Willie Haywood this time. Just a little bit too much on the outside shoulder. He couldn't get to it. Doug, you ever think about this part of the business? I know you make all your money doing radio, but
you know what? No, you know what? I leave this completely to the professionals, because you know what? I'm really trying to sit up here and be objective and look at this, but I'm looking at you 2 guys in awe. This is just really amazing to me what you do.
Well, tell us about your show. It's on ABC Radio, and tell our fans where they can listen to you.
We're on in 40 markets around the country, and we're on every morning between 5 and 9 Central Time, 6 and 10 in the East. We're on everywhere, just about in the country. Our show is fun, packed, we're nonstop. It's my partner, Dee Dee McGuire, and comedian Rudy Rush. We just have a darn good time for 4 hours a day, try to make you forget if you got any problems.
Corey Counsell picks it up at the 19. Counsell across the 35 to the 36-yard line. So Bethune-Cookman will get the ball. They dodged the bullet twice. Missed field goal by Florida A&M, and they wound up having to punt.
They're thoroughly outplayed so far in this football game, yet they're only down by 6 points, which isn't even a touchdown. So if they can get together and get a drive going, which I'm starting to sense they're doing, the players are starting to settle down and realize, not getting caught up in the hoopla, they got to play the game in between the tackles. And now it's the time they have to protect the football. And Coach Wyatt, you can tell, he knows what's at stake. I mean, he's fortunate to be this close in this football game right now. He's going to do whatever he can to kickstart his offense into gear.
And you know what? Looking at the coach, I just want to say, I have got to get his Taylor's number.
He'll give it to you in a minute.
I gotta have it.
Well, one of the things we always kid Coach about is his dress. You never know what outfit he's going to wear on game day. And last time we saw him, he had on a shirt, a lighter suit.
Yeah, khaki suit.
A lighter suit, and it got cold in the second half.
Yeah.
He had to put a jacket on. Let me check your wardrobe. Let's look at your wardrobe.
How about to see that? Doug Banks working hard.
See, you styling. I know with those hours that you carry, you basically just get up. It's dark. You just grab something out the closet.
Oh, yeah.
And put it
Yeah, just toss it. I couldn't get you cats up that early yesterday morning.
No, indeed. No, indeed. Delay of game against Bethune. It'll bring up a 1st and 15 now. And a handoff to Counsell in the backfield. And Counsell is brought down after it gets back to the 34-yard line. Corey Counsell on the carry.
You know, I think right now Florida A&M is realizing, hey, we can have our way with this Bethune-Cookman offense. I mean, they're not faster than us. Normally Bethune-Cookman takes on a team, they're faster. AMU's realized that the Wildcats aren't faster. So now they're starting to realize, well, if they're not faster, why don't we beat up on them a little bit? So every time the quarterback hands off the football, they're hitting him. The defensive line starting to control the line of scrimmage. And if you're Alvin White, what you have to do is you have to deceive an aggressive defense. You got to give them a lot more misdirection in order to get the pressure off your back.
It is 2nd down. We'll call it 12 yards to go. Quarterback continuing the roll, and we'll be shy of a 1st down. Let's go back to Mike Gleason for SportsCenter UN game update for Michigan.
Oh, Charlie, the Buckeyes have added another touchdown, the first real big play of the ball game.
You know, they have their big bruiser running back, and right up the middle, Chris Wells breaks several tackles, goes in for the touchdown.
And the Buckeyes are back on top, 14-7 at home against Michigan. 12:22 to go before halftime. Charlie?
Thank you. Who do you like in that one?
Michigan.
You like Michigan?
Michigan.
Well, of course, you grew up in Detroit.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I asked you.
Yeah, I'm Michigan. I'm Michigan. I bleed maize and blue.
I still think if Ohio State wins, you can hand Troy Williams the Heisman Trophy for 2006.
Well, I think he's going to get. I think he's going to get it either way.
No, if he loses, You can't lose that game on a national stage and walk away with the Heisman. You got some guys that are coming up. You know, you got the running back from Rutgers, Rice, undefeated dream story if they can run the table. The running back from Arkansas, if they can beat LSU and win the SEC championship, he's going to be the guy that gets all that credit. So I think the key is he's got to win that game today. If he wins today, he can clinch it.
And how about, you didn't mention Brady Quinn.
I don't like Notre Dame. That's just one of those things. If I had a vote and I don't know if I'd ever check that box for a Notre Dame
Can you be a little bit more specific about that?
Yeah, tell us how you really feel. The pass complete to Jonathan Summers. And after the first down, that was a first down play. Ball is across midfield for the first time this afternoon for the Wildcats of Bethune-Cookman College. So they're into Florida A&M territory, trailing by 6 points with 7:23 to go. The only touchdown was a pass from Albert Chester, 15 yards to Derek Williams in the first quarter. It'll be second down. We'll call it 5 for the Wildcats. From the shotgun they work. Russell wants to go to the air. Lets it go. Man open down the sideline, but overthrows him. Didn't get it. Drop it in between the defensive secondary. And again, Jonathan Summers, number 7 there, the intended receiver.
Yeah, this is a bad read by Jimmy Russell, the quarterback. You got a soft cover 2 defense, and you've got to drill this ball in the soft spot. The ball should be gone now. That half a second he takes and he floats it over there, he couldn't stick it in between the safety coming over and the cornerback. Football 101. Cover 2, attack the seam, step into your throw. He was late with his read. He floated the football, was lucky that ball wasn't intercepted.
7:17 remaining. This clock stopped with the incomplete pass. Option to the left side.
Beautiful.
Here's the pitch. And it's Eric Weems out of bounds at the 32, but not before he got the first down. Gain of 16 yards on the play.
One of the things we knew is that they were going to try and get hits on the quarterback. Great job by Jimmy Russell, knowing he's going to get hit with his assignment, making the pitch to Eric Weems in space for the positive big gain of 16 yards by Eric Weems from Bethune-Cookman.
So Eric Weems, who's done it all, he's called the A-back. 252 career points for him so far. 42 touchdowns since coming to Bethune-Cookman College. And there you see the all-purpose threat that he is. Ranked 10th in the nation in receiving yards per game. Weems 3 catches today so far. And now we may have a delay of game.
Delay of game on the offense. Number 10. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That is the fourth penalty for Bethune today for 25 yards. And of course, when you're talking about penalties, here's a team that was averaging 75 yards a game coming in penalties. That's Bethune-Cookman.
And I throw those numbers out. The key is when they occur. And when you get the ball in the other team's territory, you can't afford to penalize yourself. It's hard enough to pick up a first down when it's 10 yards, let alone when it's 15 yards.
And here's a run to the right side by Brannon. First time he's carried today. Inside the 35. You know, we were talking earlier, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday. I was reading an article in the paper earlier this week about Ralph Friedgen, the coach at Maryland, Jay, and he talked about a formula that he came up with, talking about major offensive errors, penalties, drop passes, sacks, fumbles lost, and interceptions, and you divide that by the number of plays that you run as a team during the course of a game, and you should be able to under 12%. If you can do that and come under 12%, you should win the ball game.
I believe all that stuff with the numbers, and I'm just going to talk to my quarterback guru, Brian Billick, my coach, and he was a computer tech guy. And if Friedgen's philosophy works up there for Billick with the Ravens, then I'll believe it. Until then, I won't trust anything with computers unless Brian Billick approves it.
What's his name? AOL? Microsoft?
A strong statement right there.
But again, they find even with the new rules this year, teams are running about 6 to 7 fewer plays per ball game.
Yes.
And when you put that formula, which is about 95% accurate into play, and you run 7 less plays, you can be in trouble.
My favorite formula, who's got more points than the other. That never went out of business.
There's a pass.
Yes, face guard.
Yeah, no question. Eric Weems was the intended receiver. And it was Gregory Clark in the end zone, number 18, the junior from Tampa, Florida, who was there. And he'll be called for pass interference. The thing about college ball as opposed to the NFL, it occurred in the end zone. Instead of the ball being at the 1, it'll be just a 15-yard penalty.
Hey, you'll take it, though. And, you know, what I like here is a great decision with the football. You know, so many people worry about the completion, the catch. One-on-one coverage, you've got a guy that got open. The quarterback recognized the coverage right away and threw the ball to the uncovered guy. He was rewarded with the penalty.
That could have been offensive, too. Weems pushed off a little bit, too.
I think what happens, the wide receivers normally get away with a little bit more whenever they get by the defender as much as he did. So he had to slow down and get that football. The officials couldn't necessarily see that little push that Weems did.
So at the 20-yard line, as you look at the penalties, both teams 4 penalties in the game. FAMU has been penalized 44 yards. That was a big one there. First down and 10 at the 19 for the Wildcats of Bethune-Cookman. Option again, and nothing doing for Jimmy Russell as the defense was right there, and Russell being helped up by his offensive lineman.
Now, Doug, before we let you go out of here, you know, you're a Detroit guy. So I guess the key is you follow the Lions. You got a little history with the Lions. Who's the greatest number 20 in Detroit Lion history?
Barry Sanders.
Woo! See, Lynn Barney gonna get upset at you. Billy Sims is gonna get upset with you.
See, you know what? To me, Barry Sanders, watching Barry Sanders play, I would throw my hip out, and I'd be sitting in the house watching. I just, you know, and I know I grew up with Lynn Barney and Billy Sims, but no, Barry Sanders is, for me, the greatest.
Russell in trouble, and he's sacked. He will not get this one away. Is it a face mask penalty? Let's wait and see. Carlos Roll, number 90, was the man on the sack. But let's see what the penalty is about. Maybe face mask.
You'll see great penetration there, and that's just a poor job of blocking by the offensive line.
Boy, I'm talking about dodging the bullet there for Bethune-Cookman College. And it was not an intentional face mask. I think it was just the position that Jimmy Russell put his head, and he just got it. The left hand just got in there and grabbed the face mask. But more importantly, it moved the ball forward and the chains and gives Bethune-Cookman College a first down and 10. The ball spotted just outside the 10-yard line, so they can get a first down without scoring. As you look at Carlos Roll, the junior from Tallahassee, Florida, from Rickards High. He's a junior.
Well, the kid, look at the angle. I think, you know, we've seen more of these calls, and he tried to let go. Wow, right. You couldn't tell that. He actually tried to let go, so the penalty was severe. But, you know, if you touch that face mask, they're going to call it.
Option to the right. Jimmy Russell inside the 10 to about the 6. And again, Carlos Roll on the stop defensively. The 10th play of the drive for Bethune-Cookman College. This drive started back at their own 36-yard line, and they've driven down with the aid of a couple penalties to the Florida A&M 6.
And this is what I like about Bethune-Cookman. That red zone percentage, 70% of the time they score, but the fact that they've got 26 touchdowns, that means they don't settle for field goals often. And the reason being, this is the offense that attacks sideline to sideline, not vertical. So they still make you cover the whole field, even though they're in your red zone.
Third in the conference in red zone efficiency. Corey Counsell trying to go around the right side, and the green is there to meet him.
There were a bunch of green jerseys there, weren't there? That's a great team defense. I mean, they made them stretch that option from sideline to sideline. That's what you got to have. When you've got offenses trying to get a bunch of one-on-ones, look how far they stretch this. He's looking for an angle, no room to cut. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Where do I go? Where do I go? He just ran out of real estate, and 4 Rattlers were there to swarm in on him.
That pitch is scary, though, isn't it?
It is.
Well, one of the reasons why you see this wide bone is when you – Alvin White will tell you it's hard to recruit the type of athletes that go to some of your major schools. So he recruits players who can run this type of offense, which is something most teams don't see often.
Right. Got him.
Wide open, touchdown.
Wow.
And Jonathan Summers on the reception. 6 yards. And it's all tied at 6 apiece here in the second quarter. Russell with the touchdown pass. And for Jimmy, his 9th touchdown pass of the year.
I mean, they ran a hard inside-out route there. Once the defensive back bit on the cut inside, he was in no man's land. Good job by Summers of selling the hard slant route. Oh, yeah. Looked like the old fun bunch there.
Let's see if we can get the extra point. So Bethune takes the lead. And Doug, thank you for joining us here. 3:43, the time remaining here in the second quarter. 7-6. Bethune has rallied and have taken a 1-point advantage. He just developed it. 7-6 our score here at the 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic. And there's two of the famous characters from Disney.
I mean, they might as well call this the Disney Bowl. I mean, it's not a classic game. This is the bowl game. It's got all the atmosphere of your typical New Year's Eve game with the pageantry and the Disney sites and all the corporate sponsors. This is the best, one of the best. I don't want to upset the folks in Louisiana, but one of the premier games in black college football.
Bethune-Cookman with 72 yards rushing. Alvin Wyatt's offense on that last drive aided by a pass interference penalty in the end zone. Florida A&M is at -3 yards in the rushing department.
Yeah, I mean, and they've thrown the ball very well. The fact is, Florida A&M moved the ball several times today. But, when you get a game like this in this atmosphere, whichever team can settle down and start to play first normally wins the football contest. Fam, you had all the momentum. They gave it right back to Bethune-Cookman.
Last 3 games decided by a total of 13 points. As Cortez kicks off, it'll come down to Kaiser at the 3. Roosevelt Kaiser on the return, breaks up the sideline and is out of bounds at the 37-yard line. And we'll be back here in Orlando at the Citrus Bowl. 7-6, Bethune on top by 1.
Charlie?
All right, Mike, and also tomorrow the 1AA playoffs will be announced. I believe the participants. Hampton University will represent the MEAC for the 3rd straight year. They with the automatic bid with the conference championship once again. Congratulations to the Pirates and Joe Taylor.
They win it outright.
Yes, they do.
Outright winners of the conference. Delaware State losing 2.
Howard University today. That's one of the rare wins for Howard. So,
oh, that's low, Charlie. They're Bison everywhere now.
Well, they won 2 in a row. Here's pressure on the quarterback. Well, they don't have the horse collar in this league as King came up with the big stop. Defensively for Bethune-Cookman College, Dennis King. And the rushing yards
continue to go the wrong way for Florida A&M. And oh, wow, that's what they got him on the flag for.
Right.
He drugged the quarterback with him. You got to grow up, young man. You got to grow up, Dennis King. You did a great job beating your man on the field, got the tackle, and all of a sudden you do this.
Alvin, he is all the way out on the field. Alvin Wyatt.
I mean, look at the end of this. He's got a great job. That's a great sack. You're showing your straight with one hand. You've got him. And then watch him drag the quarterback. Let go of the jersey.
Yeah.
He's dragging him up. That's just tasteless.
Yeah. That's a good call.
And what happens is you talk about, putting a team at 2nd and 30. Now, because of, you not having your mind right, they get a first down all over again.
So it's 1st and 10. The ball moved out to the 40 with the personal foul. Unnecessary dragging.
Unnecessary dragging. The officials, I think they're trying to warn Alvin Wyatt, be careful getting on that sideline. They gave him a sideline warning, the whole Bethune-Cookman team, but nobody from Bethune-Cookman is close to the field. So, officials, it's like in basketball, you give them a technical foul to get them in check. They gave him a little sideline warning, telling Wyatt, we're not going to allow you to come 10 yards on the field.
There's his brother, who's also one of the coaches on this Bethune-Cookman's team. 1st down and 10.
1st and 10, pause on that 40-yard line.
Cut back. Torian Charles is there to make sure it doesn't go much further. There's C. Angelo Wyatt with the white hat on with Bethune-Cookman with his back to him. He's also on the coaching staff there with the little beard.
See, and that's good sometimes. Sometimes you need a brother.
But they're fussing at each other.
In place,
They're fussing at each other. He's telling
his
brother.
Come on, boys. Mama watching now. Be careful now. Hey, you got relatives watching.
2nd and 6 right now for Florida A&M. With under 2 minutes to go, we're in the first half. 7-6. Bethune on top by a point. Pressure on the quarterback. And he is going to be dropped for a loss. Big number 94 coming in there for the Wildcats of Bethune-Cookman College. I believe that was 94 came in.
It's Eric Wilson.
Eric Wilson, yeah.
You know, that's something that happens every now and then when a quarterback gets hit in the pocket. You start to say, Parcells, or my coach said, well, you deserve to get hit. You know, when they bring blitzing linebackers and you don't acknowledge it, you got to take a look. He's coming from the slot, so you got to know he's hot. So when Chester gets hit in the pocket, that's his fault. So the offensive coordinator knows you got what you call your pre-snap read. You know who your hot read is, and in that case there, Chester did not read his hot read.
Yes, quick turnaround for Bethune. Last week, they were sacked 7 times. They were by Howard University. Indoor Cooper was a man who had 5 of those for Howard University and wound up Defensive Player of the Week in the MEAC. And tonight they have 5 sacks in the first half of this game against Florida A&M, a team that coming into the game had given up only 9 sacks all year long.
Yeah, you know, FAMU and Reuben Carter, they pay attention to detail. And they're not going to let their quarterback get hit. But, you know, when you get a sack like that, you don't blame your offensive line. You blame your quarterback not recognizing where the blitzer or the pressure was coming from. And that performance last week in my Indoor Cooper, I mean, what a dominating performance. Anytime you get a D lineman with 5 sacks,
yeah.
I mean, doesn't matter if you're playing Division I, Division II, Division 3A. That's an outstanding contribution, getting 5 sacks on a quarterback. Congratulations.
On the other side, we want to congratulate Reuben Carter being named as a coach of the Hula Bowl this year. Back in 1975, he was the MVP of the Hula Bowl out of the University of Miami, the U. And now he goes back full circle. He'll be coaching along with Lee Fobbs from North Carolina A&T. Both have been named to the coaching staffs of the Hula Bowl. That game will be played January 17th in Honolulu.
Blitz coming again from the left side.
FAMU 2 of 6 in third down conversions today.
They pick it up this time.
And as Kaiser wide open, he needs to go forward to get the first down. He was dancing a little bit too much. He almost lost it, but we have a flag down. Maybe roughing the passer. And it is. It's going to be against Bethune-Cookman College, and I'm sure that'll be declined. Travis Rowland was the man that was in there. He's been applying pressure the last couple plays.
You know what happens once you send that blitz, the guys are so anxious to get to the quarterback, they don't know when to hold up. And Torrin Charles there was late. And once you get man-to-man coverage, when you blitz, there's one-on-one coverage, and you make a guy miss for a tackle, you get extra yardage.
So they get Roosevelt Kaiser one-on-one. Kaiser with 2 catches today for 21 yards. Make that 3 catches for 38 yards. That one was good for 17. Bethune-Cookman uses a timeout. 1:24 the time remaining. No more timeouts left for Bethune-Cookman College. Florida A&M still has 1 remaining, and the ball is at the 31-yard line. First down and 10. And of course, we're at the 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic. There's Disney Wide World of Sports Complex here in Florida. 220 acres, world-class, state-of-the-art sports facility. And every year, it's home to more than 180 events. And since 1997, the Atlanta Braves have held their spring training here, as well as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their preseason training camp. And that's right here, the Disney Wide World of Sports. What a complex it is if you've been in there. And they have a lot of AAU basketball tournaments in there during the summer. And I'll tell you, we've seen a number of softball tournaments and baseball tournaments.
Yeah, and the Pop Warner Championships every year there. They fill up the place, and, you know, they need to just call this part of Florida Disney Florida.
Yeah.
Rename half of the city instead of Orlando.
Or Kissimmee. They call it Kissimmee where Disney is. And
call it Mickey or Minnieville.
Or Lake Buena Vista.
I know it's a little child's dream. You come here and there's so many things for the kids to do and so spread out. And, it's all a festive atmosphere, and why I think this game is so special.
Right now, FAMU trying to make something special happen. Face with a first down and 10, but in good field position at the 31 of Bethune-Cookman, and the pressure on Albert Chester has been relentless today, and he is working under center on this first down play with one lone setback behind him. They have not had very good success running the ball today, and this is a pretty good run this time, though, by Joe Lawson. First carry for Lawson today, good for 13 yards, first down to the 20.
You know what Bethune is doing, playing two man-to-man coverage, and what happens when you do that, if you miss a tackle, the guys can keep running. Everybody's got their back turned to Lawson. As they go to hit him, take a look at Roland Williams, the safety there, Travis Rowland coming up, and he misses that tackle, and Lawson was able to pick up additional yardage. Take a look here, and we talk about everybody getting into it. Look at the helmet. Helmet comes off. Still go find somebody to hit.
Leonard Black, the senior from Fort Lauderdale, lost his helmet, number 66 there. But more importantly, 1 minute and 11 seconds is the time remaining. Bethune has no timeouts left. Make it
second down. They grounded the ball
second
after
down.
the completion.
I missed that one looking at the replay. It is second down. That stopped the clock. Now here's a pass. Incomplete. Nice swim move there by Hayward, trying to get over the defender in the end zone, but the ball was just a little bit over his head.
Yeah, that's what you want. You got the great matchup out there. Hayward, who goes 6'4", going against a much smaller defensive back. And, you know, you'd like to see him come down with that one there, but, you know, that's just an old-fashioned fade pattern.
Now let's see what happens on third down right now. 3 of 7 in third down conversions today for Florida A&M, a team that was 42% during the season coming into today's game. Here's a pass to Hayward. This time he is short of the first down by about a yard. And let's see, do you go for the field goal or do you go for the first down?
See, as a quarterback, you got to settle your team down. You got to decide, are we going to take a timeout? What are we going to do? Because it is fourth down. So
last timeout is being gained by Florida A&M with 52 seconds to go, and it's a full day of college football on ESPNU continuing tonight at 7:30 Eastern. South Florida Bulls taking on the number 10 ranked Cardinals of Louisville. College football rivalry week presented by Remington on ESPNU. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com.
FAMU taking their last time out. The rest of this half will play out. So now the decision-making process of the quarterback has to increase. You have to make sure you know exactly where you're going with the football, because you don't have too many mechanisms to stop the clock left. So you got to attack the sideline if you can. If you want to take some shots in the end zone, make sure they're in the end zone in the middle of the field. But otherwise, you have to utilize the sidelines.
Do you run the ball?
I wouldn't in this case, because if you get a yard, you don't gain anything positive.
Well, I think the decision has been made. They decided they're going to kick it rather than going for it on fourth down, and they're going to bring on Wesley Taylor, who's already missed a field goal of 47 yards this afternoon and an extra point. Just to give his team a 2-point lead, 9-7. This one will come from the 16-yard line. It'll be or 17. It'll be a 27-yard field goal attempt. Alvin White looking on. The kick is up. This one splits the uprights with 47 seconds left in the half. Wesley Taylor, who had missed 2 previous kicks today, an extra point and a field goal, puts this one through.
Yeah, that's a smart job of coaching by Reuben Carter, not getting caught up in the moment and forcing the issue and going for it on fourth down, realizing, hey, if I get a chance to take the lead in the halftime, you got to take it. You can't jeopardize that.
9-7 our score. Don't forget, coming up at halftime on SportsCenter U, Mike Gleason along with Steve Israel in the studio, and they'll have the results and highlights of the game of the century so far. Michigan and Ohio State. An update on the Iron Bowl, Auburn, Alabama, and then bowl bids up for grabs. All that coming your way at the half. No timeouts for either team. Remember, the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats have a very dangerous return man, basically in the kickoff man, in Corey Council. He has not returned one for a touchdown this year, but he has had a return of 67 yards, and that came against North Carolina A&T.
When you got a team with there's only 47 seconds left in the half, and a team that's burned all their timeouts, I don't kick it to them. I don't give them that opportunity. I go for one of those old-fashioned squib kicks and realize with that little amount of time left on the clock in today's college football game, it's probably not enough to get any type of drive going downfield.
So we'll see the kick by Wesley Taylor. Well, they did. They kicked it deep from the 4-yard line. Corey Counsell, he's dropped at the 21.
Great special teams coverage. If you are going to elect to kick the ball deep, you got to step up in special teams, and the Rattlers special teams unit did a good job.
He certainly did. Brought down by Alfred Lance, reserve defensive back there. So with 39 seconds to go, I would think that maybe with no timeouts, Alvin Wyatt would just run the clock out, go in the locker room down 2.
Yeah, he's taking his time, and they've got the running clock there that'll get going now. So they got to come out, take a knee for one play, and then go into the halftime. And, I really don't think he's upset. They're down by 2 at halftime in a game where they pretty much have been outplayed. When they gained momentum, they gave it back to Florida A&M with stupid penalties, but it's going to be an interesting second half.
Russell back to pass on first down. Throws incomplete. 12 seconds left on the clock. Clock will stop with the incompletion. Now we look at Jimmy Russell in the first half. He is 5 of 7 passing, only 17 yards, but he has a touchdown to his credit. Gerard Rucker 0 for 2 and an interception.
And this is a unit that we talked about before that has averaged over 200 yards passing per game. So they've been effective running the football, but they're not playing typical Wildcat football. They've been limited in their success.
Second down, 12 seconds to go at the half. Chester, 15-yard pass to Derek Williams, made it 6-0 FAMU. Have they missed the extra point? As Jimmy Russell going uptown, knocked down, almost intercepted on the far sideline. Jimmy Russell with a 3-yard pass to Jonathan Summers, and they kick the extra point, and it's a 1-point ball game, 7-6 with Bethune on top, and then Wesley Taylor's 27-yard field goal, and that's the way we stand.
Yeah, second time Jimmy Russell's been late. See, you can't stick a ball in there on cover 2. I don't know if he's reading the safety. The safety's standing there in the middle of your face, and he's just watching your eyes, and you're taking him to the football, and he's such a good athlete. That ball should have been intercepted.
Yeah, it's very close to being intercepted there by Jason Beach. He has ranked 3rd in the conference in interceptions. He has 4 to his credit this year. Got a little banged up a week ago against Hampton, and Russell will take a knee to bring the first half to a close here at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida, the 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic. And we're going to throw it to Mike Gleason and Steve Israel in the studio, our Sports Center U studio. Back with more in a moment.
The Florida Clash, a college football game, but it's all about the bands. They have a lot of the spotlight down in Orlando.
Passed away in an accident. In dedication to her. I miss you. Aaron Hall.
More highlights coming up from Sports Center U after this.
I leave you a responsibility for young people. Bethune-Cookman College is an enlightening educational journey which inspires young men and women to succeed. For nearly a century, this private United Methodist College has maintained an international reputation for academic excellence and moral leadership. Its modern campus and facilities provide students unparalleled opportunities for learning. Bright futures begin at Bethune-Cookman College.
He played. You should be a politician. All right, the Disney Classic down in Orlando. It's 9-7, and the bands continue to shine. Second half is just around the corner. Bands continue to shine down in Orlando. The Disney Classic, Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman. The second half is coming up just around the corner. Enjoy.
Smile, even if you're working.
Our halftime score here, 9-7, at the 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic between Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M. The Florida A&M marching band on the field right now, performing at halftime. And along with Jay Walker, Charlie Neal here. Glad you could join us here in Orlando for this 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic. And a first half, a pretty exciting first half. Some mistakes on both teams. In fact, when you talk about Bethune-Cookman College, they're the team that turned the ball over twice. Fortunately for them, Florida A&M unable to capitalize on the turnovers.
And I mean, that's been the key. These are two offenses that are generally pretty explosive, but some penalties came into play. They got a little jittery coming out. FAMU thoroughly dominated the first quarter, I thought. They should have had a bigger lead, but they were only up 6-zip. Bethune-Cookman was able to come back and get the football game.
Well, let's look at some of the first half highlights of the night's contest, and you look at Florida A&M getting the ball first and driving down the field, and the first touchdown of the ball game.
They came out, they looked comfortable. Bethune-Cookman still trying to figure out what they were doing. Blew a coverage there, and Bethune didn't help themselves. I mean, when they started to get some momentum, they turned the football over with the fumble there, and then the quarterback came out through an interception when they had good field position to start the drive off. And then at the end of the half, after they took the lead, this late hit on the quarterback was tacked on to the end of this run here, so it gave Florida A&M an opportunity to capitalize on the penalty. Sloppy play there. That's the reason why Florida A&M was able to regain the lead and keep the drive alive to go in at halftime with the lead.
You know, coming into today's game, we talked about the defense of Bethune-Cookman College as we look at our first half stats presented by Remington, and you look at the yards, and Florida A&M started to pick up some yards basically in the air on the rushing side. And one of the things Alvin White was a little disappointed was the play of his defense the last couple of weeks. They've come on pretty strong today.
They stepped in a big time. I mean, you know, you like to see them shore things up in the secondary. They're having trouble doing that, but Bethune-Cookman, they average over 200 yards passing. They've got to figure out a way to attack this Florida A&M secondary.
Well, of course, the defense has played a pretty strong game, but Florida A&M, in terms of the second half, what do you look for?
Well, I think what Florida A&M has to do is continue to play big. Around the end of the second half, they started to really push Bethune-Cookman around. They're a bigger team. They're stronger. If you're Bethune-Cookman, one thing you have to do is figure out a way to throw the football. Stop doing the quarterback shuffle. Jimmy Russell's going to be your guy, and let him do it. Last game of the year, don't hold anything back and come out swinging.
That's right. We're at halftime. 9-7 is our halftime score. Florida A&M with a 2-point advantage. Back with more in the second half from Orlando in a moment. 9-7 our halftime score here in Orlando at the Citrus Bowl, the 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic between Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M. Over at Epcot at the Walt Disney World Resort, your little ones can explore the underwater world of their newest attraction, the Seas with Nemo and Friends. Board a Clammobile and go on a ride through adventure inspired by Disney's Pixar's Finding Nemo. Glide along with Crush and Bruce the shark. See Nemo, Dory, Marlin, and their friends swimming amid the live marine life of the huge aquarium. Be sure to check it out. It all comes your way at Epcot. And we're here in Orlando for this Florida Classic between Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M. And let's send it back to Mike Gleason in our ESPNU Sports.
Charlie.
All right, thank you, Mike, for the update. As we start the second half, Bethune-Cookman will get the ball. Corey Council drops it at the 5-yard line, picks it up, and now is coming back up and doesn't make it out to the 15. So not good field position for Bethune-Cookman to start the second half. A 9-yard return for Mr. Council there.
Yeah, more of what they did in the first half. It came out generally making mental mistakes and errors, and they couldn't recover in time, and that's why they were trailing. So they can't come out in the second half and have those same type of little mistakes that just kill drives. Like, you got to start to win the battlefield position.
Bethune-Cookman in the first half had 2 turnovers. FAMU unable to capitalize, missing on a 47-yard field goal attempt. They also threw an interception in the second quarter, but FAMU again wound up punting the ball. They also, that is, Bethune punted twice in the first half. Jimmy Russell still in there, a little mix-up in the backfield. Looked like he was trying to hand it off, but there was nobody to hand it off to, and Michael McMillan, the linebacker, was there to make the stop along with some help from his friends.
Yeah, I mean, right now the Florida A&M defense is crowding the line of scrimmage. They realize that when Bethune gets backed up, they tend to want to run the football. And they just loaded the line of scrimmage and said, we're not going to make you run the ball, we're going to make you throw the football. And Jimmy Russell has not looked comfortable throwing the football all evening long, so he's going to have to come up with some big plays in the passing game to give his team a chance.
When you talk about seniors on this Bethune-Cookman squad, you know, Ronnie McCullough talked to the team about how important this game is, as the play clock is just down to 1 when they get the ball off. He never saw that freight train coming. The freight train was coming for Florida A&M, and that was McGriff, Tyrone McGriff.
And don't let the number fool you. Even though he's got number 10, he's a defensive end.
Yeah.
So that cannot happen. You know, I've been talking about how quarterbacks have been getting hit, making bad reads. He's a defensive end. This is just a poor job of blocking schematically. And he rolls out there, and ooh, that's tough to look at.
10 on 10, and Russell is going to go off. He was shaken up on that one. And we talk about the seniors, and I was saying that earlier this week, Ronnie McCullough talked to the team. As you see the hit there, it was the first sack by FAMU this afternoon, the 32nd time this year that Bethune-Cookman has been sacked. And we talked about the seniors, Terrence Massey, Jonathan Summers, Koya Daly, Terrence Massey. You know, you got a lot of seniors on this Bethune-Cookman squad that would like to go out on top. Torian Charles, Terrence Cato, Ben Ballard. And from the end zone, Rucker throws complete to Jonathan Summers. Will be short of a first down, but he gets it out to the 20. Got a good deal of that real estate back. Good for 17 yards, but to bring up a punting situation.
When you talk to Coach Wide, he likes the way Gerard Rucker throws the football. I tend to think that Russell has a better delivery, but Rucker has a better sense of the passing game in terms of the chemistry, when to get rid of the football, when not to force it in there. And you can tell right there, that was a big-time throw that Gerard Rucker just made. They just fell a few yards short of picking up that first down.
And that'll bring on Adam Ward, the punter, punting for the 3rd time this afternoon. Roosevelt Kaiser, the deep man, the left-footed punt. Kaiser's going to let that one go, and it takes a bounce that's in favor of Florida A&M and goes out at the 49-yard line, a 39-yard punt.
Take a look at Tyrone
Actually, a 29-yard punt.
Take a look at Tyrone McGriff. He's one of those legacy Rattlers we talked about. His father, along with Albert Chester, the quarterback, was a member of that national championship squad at Florida A&M, the only black college to ever win the 1AA playoff situation. FAMU did it in 1978.
Yeah, Rudy Hubbard was the coach of that team when they won it in 1978. That was the first ever 1AA championship.
That's why I call them legacy Rattlers. I don't think they really had a choice in terms of what college they were going to go to play college football.
No question about it. Right now, as they go to the left side, here's Henry down the sideline. Demetric Henry, the freshman. They have a lot of high hopes for him. And he's good for 19 yards on that play. Got his first start against South Carolina State as a collegian and ran for 79 in that one.
Yeah, and that's a good job by a freshman running back to have the time to set up that counter trap, to allow his lineman to get downfield and block. Take a look at the jab step. He's going to take his time, see daylight, then explode up the middle there. And that's tough for freshmen to do because they normally run on one gear. Bobby Williams, the free safety, coming over, making a punishing hit at the end of a big carry.
Yeah, Yeah, but when you have to go 19 yards before a free safety can make the hit, that's a good job. Chester rolling to the right, looking. He's going to take off and is dropped at about the 21-yard line. Gain of about 9 on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 1.
What you saw there was a difference in quarterback styles. You know, Chester decided to keep his eyes downfield and to look. On the other side of football, Jimmy Russell would have took off and run earlier than that. So I like Chester's mindset. They teach quarterbacks, once you get outside the pocket, keep your vision downfield. Somebody may come open late and then decide to run the football.
Yeah, well, he didn't have his second option or his third option, and he did what he could do best, and that's use his legs. Since the arm wasn't going to work on that one, on 2nd down and 1, 12 minutes to go. 3rd quarter. Here's the handoff again to Henry. Bounces to the outside, gets the first down, and is dropped at about the 16-yard line. It'll be 1st down and 10 for the Rattlers of Florida A&M.
I like what I see in Demetric Henry. You know, you talk to the coaching staff and Coach Carter, and they're real excited about this young freshman.
They certainly are.
He's good, and they say he reminds a lot of guys of that young fella up in Hampton.
Alonzo Coleman, yeah.
He's got a lot of similarities that way. If he adds a little beef to his frame, he's going to be a force to come for many years in this conference.
You talk about Alonzo Coleman, first year since he came into the conference as a collegian that he didn't gain 1,000 yards. 909 this year for Alonzo Coleman. He was banged up for a couple of games in which he only gained 11 yards. Play clock down to 1 second. Just gets it off in time. And a bounce to the outside and nothing doing that time defensively, as Wilson was there to make the stop defensively. Eric Wilson, the junior from Fort Lauderdale. There he is, big number 94.
Yeah, Wilson's been playing well. He was the leading tackler for the Wildcats in the first half, making plays like that, getting behind the line of scrimmage and disrupting the Rattler offensive scheme.
Loss of 2. From the shotgun, they'll work on 2nd down and 12. Two possessions, a touchdown inside the 20 for Florida A&M today. This pass is batted or tipped at the line of scrimmage. Trying to get it to Morgan, Gerard Morgan, the receiver, the senior from Duncanville High in Dallas, Texas. You know, we talk about Reuben Carter and all these freshmen. One of the other things that has hurt FAMU to a point this year is they were sanctioned by the NCAA, and they lost 8 scholarships. So instead of the 63 that they normally would have, they wound up with only 55 this year.
Yeah, and that's big. I mean, football's all about, you can always have the best players, but depth helps any roster, and that just really decimates your depth. You lose one injury, and that's like having 3 or 4 people get injured when you don't have backups, quality backups to fill their shoes.
Here's a pass into the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Florida A&M. Coming up with it is Hayward, Willie Hayward, 18 yards. Chester looked good on that one, didn't he?
Willie Hayward has hops. They've gone to Willie Hayward 4 different occasions trying to get him with that fade route. And on this occasion, Chester finally put the ball with enough air on it to allow Hayward to show his athleticism and watch him go up and grab this ball at its highest point. That was like a fadeaway jump shot, but he was still able to snag that ball out the air. And oh yeah, baby, I got some hops.
Yeah. 10:27 remaining. Hayward at 6'4", junior out of Miami, Florida. He's from Jackson High down in Miami, and the point after this time is good. And the Rattlers of Florida A&M with 10:27 remaining in the 3rd quarter. They stretch their lead to 16-7. Chester, 2 touchdown passes today. 15 yards to Derek Williams, and this one an 18-yarder to Willie Haywood, and they lead it by 9. Campbell, the Director of Minority Business Development for Walt Disney World, and it's a pleasure always seeing you. Once again, a great big crowd here, 71,200 for this 27th edition of the Florida Classic.
Yeah, you know, Charlie, we're really pleased. You know, it's incredible just to see the growth that this game has enjoyed over the past several years. So continual sellout year after year, and here once again the same thing.
Certainly is, and we're going to come back and talk to you some more as the kick went out of bounds. But let's talk a little bit about Walt Disney World's involvement, and especially in this particular classic and dealing with HBCUs.
Yeah, we've been involved with this classic since 1997 when it came to Orlando, first starting as the presenting sponsor. Back in 2002, we elevated ourselves to the title sponsor, and since 1997, we've contributed $2.3 million to the two institutions towards their scholarship and educational funds. And this year we increased the amount, made a sizable check presentation at halftime, $400,000. So, you know, little something on behalf of, you know, the Walt Disney Company. But, you know, we're really pleased about being able to be participating.
And, of course, Walt Disney is always a great place. We've been talking about it all game long. And Jay even got a chance to get over there yesterday and get on some of the rides.
Right.
He's like a big kid in the park, right?
You know, everybody is a kid at Walt Disney World. So we had fan day there yesterday and had some great activities for the alumni and the fans of the two schools.
When you guys got behind this project back in 1997, as you mentioned, did you know what you were getting into? Did you know that this game could blossom the way it has?
You know, I don't think anybody ever envisioned that this would become the largest black college football game in the country. So I don't think that was necessarily the vision back in 97. But, you know, when we attach ourselves to something and when we really partner with somebody, we really mean it, you know, to the truest sense. And we've been, you know, having a great relationship here and helped it grow and, you know, play our little small role. But the two schools have done a phenomenal job as well.
Gerard Rucker is still in at quarterback for Bethune-Cookman. Russell was shaken up earlier in the ball game, and this pass is complete on the far sideline to Jonathan Summers, who has the only touchdown of the ball game for the Wildcats at Bethune-Cookman. He got that by way of a 3-yard pass from Jimmy Russell in the second quarter.
One of the things I noticed in dealing with Disney yesterday, I mean, we had 4 interns showing us around the park. They were from Clark Atlanta and Morris Brown and Clark Atlanta. You guys really embrace the HBCU initiative with your intern program.
You know, it really is about going where the talent is. And, you know, HBCUs are widely known as creating some of the best talent in the nation as far as professionals. And, you know, we certainly recruit from all of those institutions. We've got a significant number of FAMU and BCC alum that work for our schools, both at the, you know, at all levels of the organization, quite honestly, executive level on up.
As Rucker carries for the first down, gets the ball across the 45 to the 46-yard line. So they're trying to move the ball. This drive after the kickoff that went out of bounds started at their own 35, and they moved it up to the 46, where it'll be first down and 10. This time Rucker will operate from the shotgun. They call it the pistol here sometimes, not the shotgun, because the quarterback is not as deep as in some offensive formations. As Summers, the pass is incomplete, a little bit too high for him. On the far sideline, Creary is the man defending number 21. Well, one of the things I know that's about to happen here is they're going to renovate this stadium, and they're going to start in the off season. In fact, University of Central Florida, which already had been using this as a regular home field, are building a stadium on their own campus of about 40,000 seats. So this right now, along with the Citrus Bowl game, are the only 2 real games coming in here after this year.
Yeah, and you know, the Walt Disney World Florida Classic is the largest of the events in total that's hosted here at this venue. And, you know, we're just, you know, pleased to play a small role to make sure that, you know, these types of activities continue to see the value in being in this great destination of Orlando, Florida. And, you know, and we've got some great attractions and stuff and hotels at Walt Disney World that folks can participate with.
I got a chance to talk to the mayor and a couple of Orange County commissioners yesterday and said, you guys need to go ahead and ratify that little agreement you had to renovate this place here. So I got a little political plug in there.
Well, you know what? I know they're committed to making it happen. And, you know, this is one of the things everybody's pulling together here in the community.
Rucker gets out of trouble, throws, has it complete. Here's Jonathan Summers on the reception. Let's go to the studio for SportsCenter UN game update. And Mike Gleason, Mike.
Well, Charlie, the Buckeyes, they hitting that middle of the line, score big again.
Right, when your linebackers are aggressive at the point of attack, applying pressure, your last line of defense must make a play. That's your safeties. They missed the tackle. It ends up in a big play, touchdown.
35-24, Charlie.
11-point lead for Troy Smith and the Buckeyes getting closer to the Heisman, huh?
Hey, if he wins it, he can go ahead and book his trip to New York. He's already going to New York as a finalist, but if he wins it, he can go ahead and
I didn't know there was anybody that was. I didn't anybody was close to challenging him, to be honest with you.
Well, you know, Desmond. I remember Desmond Howard saying on a couple of game days there was nobody to get excited about, but the key is, I'm a quarterback. So if quarterbacks take your team undefeated, I think you're automatically a Heisman Trophy finalist, automatically, especially on that stage. And he's done nothing to hurt his cause. He's been so steady. Week in and week out, he's always played well.
And that's the key.
While we have Mr. Campbell here, I'm a football guy. I love the Pop Warner Championships being held on your complex every year, week in, week out. That's got to be exciting to watch the little youngsters pro level.
You know, Pop Warner's got a special place in my heart. I was the commissioner of one of the Pop Warner leagues here in Central Florida, and got a chance to personally, work with some of those kids. So I totally understand what you're talking about, Jay.
Rucker a little slow getting up as they laid the leather on him that time as he got that pass off under duress on a 1st and 15.
I think somewhere around the middle of the second quarter, FAMU committed themselves to getting the Rucker or whoever the quarterback was and getting a body on him, and the tolls are starting to take over. It doesn't matter if they see number 12 back there or number 10. Whoever the quarterback is for Bethune-Cookman, he's going to get hit. 3 and 7. 3 and 7 on the day, 1 interception. And, this is a kid that's very special, 3.9 GPA, pre-law.
And has another year of eligibility and decides he's not going to come back. He's going to go to law school. And this time he takes off and runs around the right side. First down inside the 20. Still on his feet and dropped at the 18, 17-yard line. Maybe stepped out of bounds. A 25-yard run. Eugene, it's always a pleasure seeing you here in Daytona Beach. Thanks for the hospitality.
Thank you.
Always great seeing you. We'll look to see you again next year.
Come back. We'll see you and Jay next year. Thank you so much for being
the host with the most. Always have a great time down here. The Walt Disney Florida Classic.
Thank you so much to ESPN as well. Thank you.
Thank you. At the 18-yard line, it'll be a 1st down and 10. Rucker with 23 yards on 4 attempts so far today. And now he rolls to the left, throws into the end zone.
Oh, what timing. Oh!
Incomplete. Dropped by Johnson, the receiver. Victor Johnson was the intended receiver. First time they've thrown to him today.
When you're going to throw a ball 25 yards down the field, take a look. Right now he squares, gets rid of the football. Johnson's coming out of his break, and he's got to come up with that ball, but I like the timing. You see Johnson there, that was perfect. You could tell Johnson was still going forward when Rucker threw that ball, and that's what Coach Wyatt is talking about. The timing of the passing game, knowing when to get rid of the football. Rucker has that timing sense about him.
One of the things that Coach talked about was no short field and being able to run the ball. And there's a man wide open, but it's a little too high for Eric Weems in the end zone. Weems might have been able to grab that if the ball had been down a little bit, Jay.
Yeah, he missed it a little high, and they've been trying to attack that soft cover too.
16-7 is our score here. We're in Daytona, Orlando, Florida. Orlando, Florida for the 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic. Charlie Neal along with Jay Walker. Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M. They've been meeting since 1925. This is the 10th year this game has been played here in Orlando. Prior to that, the Florida Classic was played in Tampa. On 3rd down, Rucker to go to the air, under pressure, steps up, runs, jukes, and he's short of the 1st down, dropped at the 10. 8 yards on the run for Gerard Rucker, the junior, redshirt junior out of North Miami Beach. He went to Dr. Crop High down there, and let's see if Alvin Wyatt's going to go for the 1st down, if he's going to kick the
Coach
field
Wyatt's
goal.
starting to get a little feisty. You can tell all game he's had this sense of urgency about his team, trying to jumpstart his team, and he's got an opportunity now to make a statement.
They're going to go for it on 4th down. 5 of 8 this year on 4th down conversions for Bethune-Cookman. Rucker keeps it, gets the 1st down to the 5 on the quarterback keeper with plenty to spare. Had to get to the 7. He got to the 5, or had to get to the 8 actually, and he got to the 5.
And this is the Wyatt bone at its best. Attacking the A gap. Fake the dive, behind, then follow him. So that way the fullback who you fake the dive to becomes just like your lead blocker. And Rucker did a good job of getting low and picking up the first down to keep the drive alive. Look at all that bling bling. Who's got more bling? The Bethune-Cookman band or Alvin Wyatt?
Well, they're all from the same family. They can trade off. 13th play of this drive for Bethune-Cookman. This drive started at their own 35-yard line. Here's Rucker going to the air, knocked away. Good defense by Creary. The cornerback, the freshman from Deerfield Beach, Florida. 2 interceptions coming into the ball game. And he came up with a big break up that time.
Yeah, you know, this is a tough throw right here, asking the quarterback to roll out and throw the out route when there's not much room there, not a lot of real estate. So it wasn't a true roll, it was a semi-roll. But in college football, you've got different hash marks. So he had to throw the ball all the way across the field. Very difficult throw.
Jonathan Summers was the intended receiver. As you look at Bethune-Cookman, this is the 14th play of this drive. They've used up over 5 minutes of the clock. It started at their own 35. Again, Rucker on the carry. Touchdown. Bethune-Cookman. Rucker from 5 yards out.
I know he's got accepted to law school, but if he keeps making plays like that, Alvin Wyatt's going to do some petitioning of his own to court-martial Rucker to come back for his senior year.
65-yard drive. Point after for Bethune-Cookman. Jesus Cortez already hit one today. He's 36-39 for the season. That was a 14-play drive. They used 5:27 off the clock. Kick is up, and it is good. And we have a 3-point game here. Make it a 2-point ball game. 16-14. Gerard Rucker with the run. Only his second rushing touchdown of the year.
2:15 Auburn, Charlie.
16-14. Our score here is Bethune-Cookman just scored on a 5-yard run by Gerard Rucker to climb back in this one within 2 points.
Yeah, take a look at the top down the line of scrimmage with the arrow. That's Tyrone McGriff. That's who they're running the option off of. So if he commits to the quarterback, he'll pitch it. If he doesn't, you'll see what happens. He's in between. Rucker gives him a fake, shakes him out. Touchdown, Wildcats. Run the option on the in-man on the line of scrimmage. In that case there, McGriff got beat by scheme and athleticism by Gerard Rucker.
Remember, the last 3 games in this contest have been decided by a total of 13 points. They've been very close. Overtime, the last 2, 6-point game in 2004, and it was a 3-point game last year, 4 points the year before. 2 points separate the 2 teams today. Alvin Wyatt had won 3 of the last 4 of these Florida Classics. Reuben Carter won his first ever last year from the 11-yard line. Roosevelt Kaiser on the return and up to the 30-yard line. A 19-yard return for Kaiser.
So, and I think that's what makes this a great rivalry game. I mean, the key to rivalries is the team that's favored to win doesn't always win. And I think that's been the case. I think last year Bethune-Cookman had a better football squad, but they upset the Wildcats. And there were a couple years where Bethune was probably one of the better teams in the MEAC, but this game cost them a bid to the playoffs. So
they did.
I think to have a rivalry, you got to have some upsets in there. And this rivalry has been full of upsets.
Wyatt lost his first 4 Florida Classics. 97, he lost by 17 points. In 98, he lost by 36 points. Lost by 49 in 99 and by 3 in 2000. So he took his lumps his first couple years.
He did, but you know, once they figured out, he got hot and went on a little string of victories, but then
3 straight.
But then all of a sudden, you know, like a rivalry, FAMU comes back and busts their bubble last year.
Busting out is Henry, and he breaks a tackle and gets close to the first down marker as he's dropped at the 40-yard line.
Henry does a good job. I think what you're going to see with Henry is as he gets older and matures, he's got good base. Look at those calves. I mean, he's got big calves, but he knows how to make himself small. See, get small, then accelerate through. You know, that's a special thing about a running back. You got to know when to play big and when to play small. You can't play big all the time, and you can't play small all the time. You've got to have a good mixture of both.
Henry with 36 yards on 7 attempts so far today. Here's the pass complete, and coming up with a big run is Wright. Wright with the catch, 22 yards for the receiver, Wright. Florida A&M picking up good yardage inside the 40-yard line of Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, Wright made this catch, but take a look at this throw by Chester. Rip! He drilled that ball in there, and Wright held on to it. When you got a big guy like that, you want him to run big and make the first DB miss, and Wright spinning off of Wildcat defenders.
And that's Wright's first catch of the day. First down and 10 for Florida A&M. They're driving now. This drive started at their own 19, 3:04 remaining in the third quarter. The pass wide open as Kaiser makes a move, cuts back to the outside, and close to another first down, a gain of 9. And a full day of college football on the ESPNU continues tonight after our game at 7:30 Eastern as the South Florida Bulls take on the number 10 ranked Cardinals of Louisville. College football rivalry week presented by Remington right here on ESPNU. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com. As you look at Roosevelt Kaiser, and now nothing doing as the defense comes up big for Bethune-Cookman, and Henry loses yards all the way back to the 35-yard line.
Yeah, that's a big stop there, and that's one of those freshman mistakes. I understand the play was called to be a stretch run to the outside, but when you've got 2nd and 1, you can't afford to lose 6 yards.
Kaiser with 4 big catches tonight, 45 yards. Third down, we'll call it 6. Derek Williams is in the slot to the left, right outside, as is Hayward.
They got one-on-one coverage with Kaiser down here on the bottom of your screen.
And he cuts to Kaiser. First down is gained at the 25-yard line as he makes the catch in front of James Mons.
That's what happened. When you've got one of those shifty wide receivers and you can tell the defensive back is having trouble covering him, they start to give him more cushion. You take a look here, basic curl pattern, but because Kaiser's been shaking him earlier during the game, Mons is afraid to attack the line of scrimmage.
Derek Williams on the flanker screen, and Derek Williams is down at the 11-yard line, but he gains the first down, and they went without a huddle. And that was the thing that FAMU, as you were describing that play, they were at the line of scrimmage snapping the ball.
Well, I mean, one thing Coach Carter, I know from when he coached at Howard as a defensive coordinator and strength coach, he's a conditioning guy. His teams are going to be well conditioned, and this team is ready to go no huddle at any time, and that's the tribute to his success and his coaching philosophy. He wants to have the most conditioned team in the conference, and he's not afraid to go no huddle.
Well, he says he likes his team to remind him of himself and the hard work that he put in as a player. He was at the University of Miami and his years in the NFL, especially with the Denver Broncos. Reuben Carter, he was a force to be reckoned with. And he stayed healthy throughout his career because of his conditioning.
Oh, yeah, he was talking to me about strength and stretching and all that stuff before it was even popular.
Here's the quarterback, Chester, trying to bounce to the outside. Gains maybe a yard or two down to the 10-yard line. It'll be second down.
And, you know, another point on Reuben Carter, what a lot of people don't realize is the 3-4 defense is popular again now. You know, Bill Belichick has done it, but when Carter was playing in the NFL, he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And you know what the headline cover said? The perfect reason for the 3-4 defense.
Right.
Starts with the nose tackle, and you know he gets into it. His son is a successful NFL player with the Washington Redskins.
They're
Andre
playing
Carter.
Right. They're playing Tampa Bay tomorrow. In fact, he said he's going to drive down and see his son play tomorrow.
Yeah, you know, I know it's got to be a proud moment.
6 years his son has been in the NFL. It's hard to believe. I remember when Andre was a little kid running around. Here's this pass to Kaiser, out of bounds after a gain of a couple. But not a whole lot of running room that time for Kaiser.
You know, the problem with spread offenses are whenever you get into the red zone, you know, where do you go? You don't have a threat vertical. So I think the reason why Bethune's so efficient as an offense in the red zone is because they play horizontal.
Right.
And FAMU, they're a vertical offense. They like to attack and get Kaiser in space, and you just run out of real estate when you try and depend on the long ball.
FAMU 5 of 10 in third down conversions as we're coming down to the final seconds of the third quarter here. Working out of the shotgun as he has most of the game.
Wow, take the slot. One-on-one in your slot right there.
Looking in the middle. Touchdown. FAMU. Roosevelt Kaiser. 8 yards.
If you're Bethune-Cookman, you've got to do a better job of disguising your coverage. You saw it was man-to-man across the board. The one thing you do want to do against man-to-man coverage is run crossing routes. That's why the Rattlers have had success here in the second half, running slant patterns. You see Kaiser here give him a move and then just run away from the defensive back trying to play defense. And Albert Chester, very impressive throw. He stuck that ball right on Kaiser's gut for the touchdown.
3 touchdown passes for for Chester today to 3 different receivers. Derek Williams, Hayward, and Kaiser. They're going to go for the 2-point conversion to try to stretch it out to a 24-14 lead, make it a 10-point game rather than a 9-point game.
Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, well, they dropped it too, and it didn't work. And Henry, he said, that's on me. He let it go, but even if he catches it, I don't think he gets in the end zone.
He doesn't get in. You know, you're up by 8 right now. Kick the extra point, go up by 9. Then you know it's at least a touchdown and a field goal to catch it. If you don't get it, now you're up by 8. Bethune-Cookman scores a touchdown and gets a 2-point conversion.
It's tied. Game. That's right.
So that's why I didn't understand why you go for 2 there.
18 seconds remaining, third quarter. Reuben Carter's team. Let's look at it once again. Well, nothing happening, but it was a good drive. 81 yards. They went in 9 plays. That drive started at their own 19-yard line.
Going into the locker room, that's big. That's big. We better, if you're a FAMU fan, you hope he comes sprinting out next time they have the ball, because he's starting to establish himself as the factor, the key ingredient for this football game.
So 2 of 3 possessions for FAMU in the second half resulted in touchdowns. Council on the return, and flags fly. 13 yards on the return. We'll wait for the penalty flag to see what it's all about. Fleeman Williams. This is a season finale for both of these squads. Illegal block in the back against Bethune on the return. So their first possession of the second half for Florida A&M. Second possession ended in a touchdown.
As I sit and look at that score, though, that 8 points, that missed opportunity to get a 9-point lead, I mean, that could be very costly. If you're Bethune-Cookman, you got to think one more drive and this game is tied.
I had the wrong information.
That was actually a 70-yard drive. That drive started at their own 30-yard line. 9 plays, 70. They used under 4 minutes off the clock, 3:58 to be exact. So a 5-minute and 27 drive by Bethune, a 3-minute and 58-second drive by Florida A&M. And this is going to be the end of the third quarter here. They will not get this play off. So as we start the fourth quarter, and what has been an exciting 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic, we have an 8-point ball game, and it's been back and forth. Florida A&M struck last. Let's see if Bethune can rally. The Bethune-Cookman College marching band, 22-14. There was a penalty at the end of the third quarter, so we'll have one on time down. And while we're looking at Bethune-Cookman's band, I want to say congratulations. They've been picked as one of the 2 bands to represent the MEAC in the 5th annual Battle of the Bands. It's coming up January 7th at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. Only 10 bands will compete, and they will. That's going to be the end of the third quarter. 41 bands were called, 10 were chosen. This is the 4th straight year Bethune-Cookman's band, under the direction of Donovan Wells, will be going. Virginia State and North Carolina Central representing the CIAA. Norfolk State and Bethune from the MEAC. Clark Atlanta and Albany State from the SIAC. Prairie View and Alabama State from the SWAC. And Langston and Central State represent the independent schools that are sending bands.
I mean, see, when we talk about the rivalries, it's more than just on the football field. I mean, for years, when you talked about black college bands in the state of Florida, you were only talking about the Marching 100 from Florida A&M. Bethune-Cookman has stepped up their game. Now they're one of the bigger bands and one of the more premier bands in black college football too. So that's been a good thing to see these two schools grow in terms of band size.
If you look at that top row, you see 27 tubas up there.
You know what I mean? That's big. You know, FYI, for those of you all that don't know, they are the largest black college band in the country. They've got more members than FAMU. And they've had that for the past 2 years. So, you know, these schools, they go out and recruit players now.
Well, we're going to start the fourth quarter here. First play, Bethune-Cookman with the ball. First down and 10 at their own 8-yard line. Here's the pass up the field. Jonathan Summers overthrown, and the quarterback, Rucker, falls down in disgust.
I mean, he wasn't hit. He's getting up because he's upset with himself. Great route by Jonathan Summers. Got him with the double move. The old, you know, when I was growing up, we called it the chair pattern. And then they called it the out and up. He definitely beat his man off the ball, and Rucker wishes he had that throw back. So you take a look here, Rucker, give a little pump fake. Got him. He's just overthrew this, and look at Rucker. No, I didn't. Oh.
Yeah, he's pounded the turf down there. He's upset with himself because he had the man wide open, and he just put a little too much on it. So far by quarters, you look at it, Bethune failed to score in the first quarter. They scored 7 points in the second. FAMU led it at the half 9-7. FAMU 13 points here in the third quarter. Bethune with the ball, though, with a second down and 10. They've scored in the third quarter, and we're in the fourth quarter right now.
Look at Coach Wyatt. You can tell he's still thinking about that one. You know what he's saying? Jared, you got to hit that one, man. I can't give it to you any simpler than that.
Yeah, well, you know, Alvin Wyatt was the basketball coach on the women's side for many years at Bethune-Cookman College from 79 to 96. In fact, he was the coach of the year back in 1984. In fact, played 3 years in the National Football League, a defensive back with the Buffalo Bills, and still holds Bethune-Cookman College's record for interceptions in a career with 34 and in a game with 5.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you talk about the job he's done here at Bethune-Cookman College. Before he arrived, in the previous 10 years, they won just 37 games. They had no winning seasons and never went to the NCAA playoffs. After he arrived, they won 70 games, has 8 winning seasons, 8 straight, trying to make it number 9 with a win today. And they went to 1AA playoffs. Back in 2002, they were 7-1 in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference that year. Their only loss was to Hampton. They lost that one 37-7. Then they went up against Georgia Southern, a very prolific 1AA team in the 1AA playoffs, and they were shut out in that one 34-0. That's Donovan Johnson coming off the field for Florida A&M, the cornerback, the sophomore from Booker T. Washington High in Miami, shaking up on the play.
When we talk about Alvin Wyatt's success, he had a class of seniors that were remarkable. I think they lost a total of 4 games in 4 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of those games were at the hands of the Rattlers, but Stephen Baggs and Alan Suber, Rasheem Mathis, Nick Collins, that class resurrected the Bethune-Cookman football program and gave them a foundation in which to grow from.
Well, we've been calling this DBU for a couple of years, especially with Nick Collins and Rasheem Mathis, and now Bobby Williams. Here's Rucker, throws back across the field. Great catch. Let's go to the studio, Mike Hall, for Sports Center U in-game update.
Charlie, Steve Preston coming off a big week against Indiana. Thought he scored. Here is.
Yeah, what a great job by Preston trying to get this offense going. Look at an awesome block by Adrian Arrington on Donald Washington.
They called the touchdown, then they looked at it. They called him down at the half-yard line, and Mike Hart pounds his way in. Third touchdown for him, 35-31 after the extra point. Charlie?
Sorry about that, Mike. Mike Gleason. I'm so used to my buddy Mike Hall on Thursday night. Anyway, we got it together. Third down. Right now, 4 yards to go for Bethune. Rucker rolls left, throws into the dirt. Now, that was not a good pass or good decision by him. He threw back around somebody. It had hardly any chance of being complete.
Yeah, they're making him stay in the pocket. So what the Florida A&M defensive ends are doing are taking an outside pass rush angle. So whenever the Wildcat quarterback, whoever it may be, Rucker or Russell, tries to get outside of the pocket, he has to pull up. And once you do that, it's very tough to pull up and force a throw in there so quickly because you got to completely square your shoulders around and your accuracy goes down.
FAMU should have good field position after this punt by Adam Ward as Kaiser is standing inside his own 50 to receive this punt. Oh, they're going to fake it. And here's the run by Adam Ward. First down and out of bounds at the 21-yard line. Got the first down with plenty to spare. Only had to get to the 17-yard line. He gets it to the 26.
Well, that's what you need because you had to start to think if Florida A&M got that ball in such great field position and were able to put some more points on the board, it becomes a 2-score differential. So good play call. Once they came out, they saw they had him outnumbered. He's got a lead blocker there with nobody to block. See, so you got a body on a body and a great job of a downfield block there. And that's how you execute it. You look for the weak side of the formation. Florida A&M was busy trying to set up a return rather than covering the quarterback.
As I say, they were going to have great field position. And a good decision. And here's a pass on the outside to Eric Weems. And Weems gets another first down out to the 39-yard line.
Man, what a great job by Eric Weems. You talk about having talent and natural athletic ability. I mean, while that ball was in the air, Weems changed direction and caught that football.
Oh, Shaq Harris, who's director of player personnel for the Jacksonville Jaguars, was in the booth earlier with us, and we were talking about some of the players that he might be looking at, and we talked about Eric Weems and some of the other players in the MEAC that maybe the NFL is interested in drafting.
I think, you know, as you come from Division I AA football, the key to making an NFL roster is the more you can do. You know, so you can't just go in there more than 9 times than not and say, I'm going to be a great wide receiver, and that's going to be it. You have to be able to play special teams, cover kicks, return kicks, play special teams, and that's the key to all the youngsters out there. When you listen and watch it, the more things you can do, the better your chances of making a football team.
Second and 6. I guess if there's any knock on Weems is that he's not a true wide receiver. He's more of a slot or wing type back. And he's not used to running specific pass pattern.
I mean, he's tough. He's a football player.
Rucker. Hello. Welcome to the Florida Classic. And that was Stewart, Rontario Stewart, on the stop. Ernest Williams on the stop defensively for Florida A&M.
You know, when you get surrounded by a bunch of green jerseys, sometimes you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And because of Rucker's courage there, he took an extra hit.
Bethune-Cookman has been sacked 5 times today. Or 2 times today. That's 2 times by FAMU. Rucker running for his life. He just got rid of that one.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate there because you got to know, and I don't know if Rucker knew with the play call, it was 2-down territory.
All right.
If Wyatt's going to do a fake field goal on 4th and 5, backed up, had they been able to get 9-10 yards, he probably would have gone for it again on 4th and short.
Yeah, they're like 4th and 12 right now.
Now you got to punt.
Right. So they'll be punting from their own 36-yard line this time. And again, there's Adam Ward, who ran for the first down the last time they were in punt formation. And we haven't seen Jimmy Russell since he got shaken up in the first half. Rucker has been running the offense in what probably will be his last collegiate game as we get a penalty flag down. What a punt by Ward. Boy, this one goes all the way over. Unfortunately for Bethune, it went into the end zone. It'll be brought out to the 20, but we'll wait to see what the penalty flag is all about. A 64-yard punt by Adam Ward. That it would be his longest of the year. The previous was 52. Now the penalty flag may be against Bethune. False start against the offense, I believe. So does FAMU take the ball, or do they at the 20, or do they make them kick it over?
Considering he launched a punt, they're probably going to decline the penalty.
So FAMU is going to decline the penalty, take the ball at their own 20-yard line, leading by 8 with 12:34 to go.
Wise.
22-14 our score here. Florida A&M leading by 8. As you look at Jimmy Russell, he was shaken up earlier but hasn't been back in the lineup since, and those are the numbers on him today. 5 of 9 passing, 17 yards and a touchdown.
It looks a little glazed. I mean, you know, he got hit pretty hard. I wouldn't be surprised to he had a look of a concussion or something like that. Looked a little out of it. I mean, he took a blindside shot.
Albert Chester, his team leading by 8. They have it first down and 10 at their own 20-yard line. And I asked Reuben Carter, the most disappointing part for him this year was that the team didn't start out fast. They started out slow as they keep the ball on the ground again with Demetric Henry. They started out slow in games first, and they dug holes for themselves early on. But he's been happy with the pride and dedication that this team has taken.
They've got some things they can learn from. I think, what he's talking about is that game they had against South Carolina State. Big game in conference. And, before the game hit the second quarter, they were down 21-0. And they played well the second half to make the game respectable, but they were never really in the game, and just because they got off to such a slow start.
The pass is complete on the far sideline, and the man who's been doing a great job all afternoon is Willie Hayward. 13 yards for Mr. Hayward on that catch. That is his 5th catch of the afternoon for 57 yards.
Yeah, he's played big this game, and he's a big body, and that's the key down. And if you can get a big wide receiver that can run, that's the quarterback's dream. You got a big target to throw to. And one thing about this FAMU offense, this Coach Carter, they spread you out, but they protect the quarterback. I mean, they will keep 7 people in the block at all times unless you give them a reason not to. And Bethune-Cookman's been caught. You either blitz them, and when you blitz them, they overprotect, or you play a zone and you give Chester too much time to sit in the pocket.
And what I like about Chester, he's seasoned as they run the ball. And look at the strength. And that's got to be a face mask tacked onto that one. Across midfield, what a run by the freshman, Demetric Henry. 15 yards carrying Bethune-Cookman players on his back. And when have you seen that?
I mean, and he was carrying Bobby Williams on his back, who's everybody's All-American from Bethune-Cookman, who's the big hitter in the secondary.
I guess that's the only way Bobby Williams was going to bring him down. He said, I'm tired of him carrying me. Let me do something to get him on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, you see the Bobby Williams there, and he just got low and extended through, and there's the face mask right there. Look how many extra yards. He gets in 6 extra steps before he's brought down by the Wildcats.
Can't tackle by the helmet. You got to tackle by the legs, huh? The greatest running back in the world can't run without his legs under him. It is first down and 10. Pass over the middle. A bullet. Down the middle. Straight down, touchdown.
Oh, that's going to be a flag.
That'll be a flag, but that's all right. It was pretty.
It looked sweet, didn't it?
Ronald Wright. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Wow, what a move. You talk about
44 yards. Chester with his 4th touchdown pass of the day.
I mean, he split those defenders. I mean, you got 2 safeties going to converge. He does a great job beating this man off the line of scrimmage. He sees both safeties coming and just turns straight ahead, making the Wildcat defenders run into each other like Keystone Cops. Oh, I give him some style points. It looked like he was bungee cord diving there.
Mr. Wright, Ronald Wright, the junior from Washington High in Miami, Florida. And that is his 3rd touchdown reception of the year. And what I like what Albert Chester has done today, 4 touchdown passes to 4 different receivers.
Yeah, stretch the field. Wow, they're going to be kicking from their 10-yard line. Well, that's the downside there. You see Wright being talked to by my old
roommate
and NFL Padre, Gary, the Flea hero. Everybody asks me where's Flea when I do these games, but now you know Flea is down here at Florida A&M coaching up the wide receiving corps and doing a good job.
Played with the New York Giants, coached at Texas Southern. Now he's over here, Florida A&M, coached at Howard also.
Yeah, best football player I've ever been around.
And there's the point after.
Missed it.
Again, the second miss the day by Wesley Taylor. He came into the game 25 of 25 in PATs. He's missed 2 today, plus a field goal. But look at this one. That's Ronald Wright diving into the end zone.
River.
10:36 the time remaining here in the fourth quarter of this 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic, where Florida A&M trying to make it 2 straight wins over Bethune-Cookman College in this game. And our game summary so far, you look at the quarterback, Albert Chester, 262 yards passing and 4 touchdowns today to 4 different receivers in this ball game. 1 to 15 yards to Derek Williams, 18 to Haywood, 8-yard pass to Kaiser, and that last one a 44-yarder to Wright. And they're kicking from their own 10-yard line. Let's see if Bethune can do something with it from the 35-yard line. Here's Corey Council. Council up the gut. Corey Council pushed out of bounds. Great field position, but he's pushed out of bounds by Leroy Van. But Corey Council with the big return all the way down to about the 22-yard line. Great field position.
Do you think, fam, you learned anything about excessive celebration?
I think so.
You want to celebrate? Well, Bethune-Cookman gives them the best response you can give. A long punt return once you get great field position. Look at the Jets. I mean, Council gets in daylight. They can't catch up to him. He was running away from the defender that pushed him out of bounds. And Bethune-Cookman can get a quick score and get right back in this contest.
It's a 2-touchdown lead for Florida A&M. Bethune with great position, field position at the Bethune 22-yard line. First down and 10, and I wouldn't want to be in Reuben Carter's office on tomorrow or Monday morning when he starts preaching about things you don't need to do to hurt the program. Rucker with the move, and Rucker carrying people down to the 10-yard line. He has a first down.
You see, that's the one thing about rivalries, right? When one team starts to feel comfortable, the other team comes back and hurts your feelings and respond. And that's the test of the program and what you believe in. And let me take a look at Rucker here with the misdirection. Freeze, cut up field, and look at him weaving. You know, 1 missed tackle. Guys humping on 2, and who says quarterbacks aren't athletes? Look at the strength in his legs.
Well, see, Jay, you were never that quick to get up there.
Didn't want to be that quick. I had quick guys around me. The key is if you're not the fastest, get it to Jimmy the Jet Cunningham and Gary the Flea Harrell. Let those quick guys run with the football.
Weems and Brannon.
Victor Johnson to the big wide receiver for Cookman on the bottom of your screen. They should try
Here's
to get
the pitch to Weems. Weems cannot turn the corner. They wrap him up. There's a whistle. The ball was down.
This is what I'd like to see them take a page out of FAMU's book. I mean, they got Victor Johnson, big 6'4" kid. Give him a couple chances to come down with the ball one-on-one with the fade route.
Weems lined up in a wing back spot on the right side, came around the pitch from Gerard Rucker, and he was stacked up there. There's Creary. He's been playing a pretty good game on the defensive side of the ball for the Rattlers today. Reuben Carter was concerned about the swagger that Bethune-Cookman College has. As you know, a lot of teams take on the personality of their coach. And there's a pitch to Weems.
Oh, what a move.
Touchdown, Bethune.
You see, Charlie, we talk about him. He's a football player. Football players know how to get open and make people miss and make the catch. And that was just an improvisation right there.
Rucker with a 5-yard run for a touchdown and a 15-yard touchdown pass here to Eric Weems. The good move. And they're extra point away from being within a touchdown of tying this game. Jesus Cortez for the point after. It's up and it's good. 28-21 our score with 8:46, and just like in previous years, it's going to come down to who makes mistakes at the end or who wants it the most.
Yeah, you know, anybody who thought Bethune-Cookman wasn't going to get back in this football game doesn't know the history of this rivalry.
Remember, they started with a short field. They only had to go 22 yards to get into the end zone. Don't forget to lace up your skates for college hockey action. It's on ESPNU Sunday for a meeting of 2 of the top teams in the nation. The Eagles of Boston College and the Black Bears of Maine battle on the ice. It's hockey on ESPNU Sunday at 3 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com. 3 plays, 22 yards. And there you see a minute 37 off the clock. And Eric Weems, the man with the big catch there. You're talking about touchdowns. You know, that's his 9th touchdown reception of the year. And he just does it all. He came into the game with 62 receptions.
You know, he's a guy, he's got NFL potential because of what he does in the return game. Those aspects, you know, we saw James Shaq Harris, general manager for the Jacksonville Jaguars at halftime, and he said he's on our radar, guys that we're thinking about giving a chance to play on the next level.
So Bethune-Cookman with their little shake 'em up formation on the kickoff. Jesus Cortez, the senior out of Fort Meade, Florida. He'll be kicking it off. Roosevelt Kaiser's the deep man for the Rattlers. He fields it at the 1. Has stopped at the 18-19 yard line. Let's go to the studio. Mike Gleason, Steve Israel in studio for Sports Center.
Charlie, Elkhorn State, Jackson State in a tight one. Under 2 minutes to go. Chris Rocker finds Nate Hughes. Touchdown. And Elkhorn State beats Jackson State 32-31. Charlie?
Ooh, what a game there in Jackson, Mississippi. 2 down-the-road rivals, about 90 miles apart, those 2 schools, and that's always a big game when Elkhorn and Jackson get together. I got a chance to see Jackson a week ago when they knocked off Prairie View. New coach Rick Comegys down there has done a pretty good job for Jackson State. Yeah,
did a great job turning around that program, but I think the hottest team of the second half of the season in the SWAC conference was probably Alcorn. They got off to a very slow start, but once they started winning, they ran off about 3 or 4 victories in a row, and they were in contention for that title.
Almost caught. Nice attempt to fight off the defender by Roosevelt Kaiser, and again, Chester under pressure, getting that ball off just before he was sacked.
Had there not been pressure on Chester, he would have been able to step into his throw and get it out there. You take a look at the pressure coming, see he can't fully extend into his throw because he's getting hit. Kaiser does a good job of getting by his defender and almost came back.
He should have had that.
Grab.
It was in his hand, so he should have had it.
It looks easier than it is.
Yeah, Wingfield was the defender downfield. You talk about the SWAC teams, the SWAC championship, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and Alabama A&M in the SWAC championship right here on ESPNU December 16th from Birmingham, Alabama.
It seemed like nobody really wanted to win the conference down there.
They certainly didn't. Chester again with the fade to Kaiser. Overthrown this time.
Now, this is something now where Florida A&M is trying to fight fire with fire. You got to be careful. You know, you got to use that clock a little bit.
I was going to say, I don't know why they're so bent on airing it out. And with these long passes, of course, you could get a 10-yard pass down the field and get a first down and move the chain.
And the key is their success has been running the crossing routes.
Yes.
Use that. Bethune-Cookman's playing one-on-one, man-to-man coverage. Don't have your wide receivers just running vertically. They got to run some crossing routes across the field. 6
of 11 on third down conversions for the Rattlers so far today. With 8:04 to go, it's a 3rd down and 10 for Albert Chester. He has Demetric Henry in the backfield with him. Rolls out to the right. Lets it go. Kaiser, and he has it short. He's not going to have enough for the first down. He'll be about 1 yard or 2 shy. He had to get to the 30-yard line or 32-yard line.
And that's one, you know, now once Bethune-Cookman gets this ball back, they're going to get their band into it, their momentum into the game, and it's going to be a very exciting momentum starting to gain over there. The Wildcats did what they had to do defensively, come out, hold FAMU to a 3-and-out, and give your offense the ball back.
Council and Weems are the men back to receive the punt.
Penalty, this is going to be big who that penalty's on.
And it's down at the 37, 38-yard line. Let's see if it's offsides. If it is, it's a first down for Florida A&M. If it's movement, I'm sure Bethune will decline the penalty and take the ball.
Whoa.
So a break for...
That's unbelievable. I mean, that literally...
A break for Florida A&M.
That literally could cost Bethune-Cookman this football game, or a chance to get back in this football game.
Well, there were two flags. Alvin Wyatt's arguing with the official on his side of the field, but there was a flag thrown by both the line judge and the head linesman, so they both saw the same thing. There's the head linesman who he was talking with earlier, John Hoffman. The line judge, Dave Beardall, also threw a flag. So it's first down and 10, new life. As you look at the penalties, Bethune 10 penalties today, FAMU 8. Well, they ran it right into the gut of the blitz. They were coming with the blitz anyhow. And Albert Chester, I thought, was trying to change the play at the line of scrimmage, but whatever he called wasn't the right one, was it?
Not at all. You know, they're trying to run out the clock now, and I think Coach Carter realizes he dodged a bullet that last time with that bailout penalty that he got there with Bethune-Cookman jumping offside. So he's going to milk that clock down a little bit and let it become his friend.
Chester on second down, throws it down the field. Hayward caught inside the 40, down to the 30, a 40-yard pass for Hayward, the junior out of Jackson High in Miami, his 6th reception of the day, 92 yards in receiving.
You know, that's the risk when you blitz linebackers there one-on-one on the outside. Florida A&M did a good job of picking up the blitz here, protecting their quarterback Chester, and he delivered a perfectly thrown ball to hit Hayward in dead stride.
They defied everything you said. You said
they went with the vertical.
They're still going, huh?
Yeah.
Chester 21 of 33, 310 yards, 4 touchdowns. The 4 different receivers, 7:02 to go in the game, and they lead it by 7 and have the ball at the 30 of Bethune. Demetric Henry bouncing off people and picks up a couple all the way down to about the 27. And we talked about the efficiency of Albert Chester, the junior, whose dad has got to be proud. He's in attendance today.
And Chester came out early and was throwing the ball efficiently and hitting the guys with the beat balls. I mean, none of these are 2 or 3 yard strikes he's throwing. I mean, the accuracy on the slant pattern there to Roosevelt Kaiser. Chester's been the best player on the football field this evening.
His dad played on the 78 championship team, Al Chester.
Al Chester, the Deuce.
The Deuce.
Wearing number 2 as well.
21 of 33. And there's a timeout on the field. Let's go to the studio. Mike Gleason for an in-studio update.
Well, Charlie, Troy Smith strikes again.
Yeah, he throws a dart to Bryant Rubisky. Morgan Trent, the corner for Michigan, is having a long day. This is the 4th receiver to score.
42-31, Buckeyes on top of the maize and blue, Charlie.
Well, high-scoring affair there, 42-31, 73 points, but the two teams
that was a Big Ten. I thought Big Ten was a grind it out and run kind of conference.
Hey, you got to learn how to throw the ball.
What are they doing, spreading it out and throwing the football?
Hey, Troy Smith and Albert Chester have something in common. They both throw 4 touchdown passes today.
4 different
receivers. Epcot is the home to Soarin', a free-flying adventure across the natural wonders of the Golden State. With the wind in your hair, taking the sights and scents of California. Glide 40 feet in the air as you look down upon the breathtaking vistas of Yosemite and Redwood Forest on Soarin', a Walt Disney World resort. Hey, Soarin'.
I'll pass on that one.
You don't want to get on that?
I'll pass on that one. I'll go on the other one's a roller coaster, but you know, you're one of the few people that knows I'm afraid of heights, and that right there is my worst nightmare.
Well. So far, a great crowd was in attendance. A lot of people have gone out to tailgate outside and continue to pay attention to what's happening inside. But 71,216, another 70,000 plus in attendance here this year. And what a great football game we've had.
A great football game, great battle of bands at halftime. FAMU came out and did a salute to Gerald Levert. Bethune-Cookman did I Miss You. I mean, they had it rocking and rolling here in Orlando, Florida.
Second down. Second down and 6. Here's a handoff to the right side, and Edwards was on the carry, and he didn't get much there. You know, one of the things I hadn't had a chance to really talk about today was Bo Schembechler passing away, the former coach of the University of Michigan at the age of 77, and a lot has been said, but I had a chance to personally know Bo when I worked in Detroit and local television there, and I had a chance to cover them for many years, for 7 years when they played Ohio State in Columbus or either Ann Arbor, and also covered him on numerous of Rose Bowl appearances. And he scolded me one time jokingly after I had him walk up a set of stairs. You know, he'd had a heart attack before his first Rose Bowl game, and he came up to do a live shot with me, and he said, "Hey, you're making me walk up all these stairs." He had a sense of humor. Wide open, touchdown, or is it? They didn't call touchdown. They said he went out at the 1-yard line. Out at the 1-yard line. I thought he might have been in the end zone. That was Haywood, I believe, on the reception. Now the officials are conferring. Was it a touchdown or was it not? Touchdown. Yes, it was. I thought he was in. There he is. Second touchdown reception of the day. That one good for 27 yards.
Take a look. Williams comes over at the end of this run, and does he have that ball?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He went inside the pylon. Good job.
That's all you have to do is get inside the pylon. Chester with his 5th touchdown pass of the day, 27 yards to Haywood. Haywood's 2nd reception of the day. He's one shy of the Florida Classic passing touchdown passes. That was set by Ben Doherty of Florida A&M in 2004, and that was in overtime. That was an overtime game. This kick is up, and again, we have a flag, or what's going on? We have the officials waving their hands. There's a penalty flag down. Ben Doherty. A 25-yard extra point coming up.
And if you're Coach Wise, you got to be thinking 4th and 2. We're getting ready to get the football back.
And we commit a penalty.
We commit a penalty ourselves, offside.
And it's cost us 7 points, possibly.
FAMU,
6 anyhow.
FAMU made them pay. And that's to give credit to FAMU. They drove down the field and really put a dagger in Bethune-Cookman's hopes.
81-yard drive. 8 plays, 2:11 off the clock. This extra point, this time, is good. 35-21, our score in the 4th quarter. Chester with his 5th touchdown pass of the day. Haywood with his 2nd touchdown reception. Must have been right because both officials.
2 of them did it, yeah.
ESPNU College Football brought to you by Remington Titanium Shavers. Along with Jay Walker, Charlie Neal here. It's the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida. 27th edition of the Walt Disney World Florida Classic. 35-21 our score with Florida A&M. And now for Chester, 339 yards. It was the 6th most in Florida Classic history in passing. Ben Doherty had 6 touchdowns and an overtime victory a couple years ago. And here's Corey Counsell trying to get outside, and he brings it back to the 35-yard line.
Charlie, let's revisit some of the
late
keys
flags coming in
this game, and we thought the fact that Williams had to get involved, Bobby Williams had to come up with some interceptions, Kaiser had to touch the ball, and they had to figure out a way to contain the Wyatt bone. Well, how's this all played out in this game so far? Williams has been limited. He got the touchdown. Bobby Williams, not his fault. They picked on everybody in that secondary. Roosevelt Kaiser, 10 touches, 140 yards in a touchdown, and Bethune-Cookman held to 112 yards per game rushing the football.
Dead ball fouls, both against Bethune. So similar to the unsportsmanlike after the touchdown by Wright, they're going to move them all the way back.
And you
until about the 5-yard line.
You know what's going to hurt? The fact that when they started marking them off, they were on the 36-yard line.
Right.
So when the first one was 15 yards, it took them to the 21. Once they get inside the 21, they can take it down to the 10.
Half the distance.
Half the distance to the goal.
Right. And they're going to start at the 10-yard line now rather than the 36-yard line. And, of course, Alvin Wyatt's 8 consecutive winning seasons in jeopardy here right now with 5:16 to go and trailing by 2 touchdowns. They're 5-5 coming into the game, 3-4 in the conference. His only losing seasons prior to this one, should he not win this game, was his first season as the head coach in 1997. Now here's a run to the outside, something we haven't seen the big fella do much of today. Chauncey Hampton, the senior out of Sanford, Florida, redshirt senior. He had the only touchdown for this team against Hampton a year ago. Came into the game with 146 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. Haven't seen him much today. And we have a player down for Bethune, I should say for Florida A&M, and that's Carlos Roll, who's had a pretty big game himself.
You know, since that stage of the game where, you know, you start to get a little tired, fatigued, and your body doesn't react like you used to, and legs get stuck out there, hanging out there. You know, if you're Bethune-Cookman right now, I think.
Well, the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World is home to 3 of Florida's tallest mountains. Starts with Space Mountain. And at Space Mountain, you can take off with a high-speed blast through the stars. One of the greatest thrill attractions ever created. Now, over at Splash Mountain is where Burr Rabbit's antics end up sending logs plunging down a 52-foot waterfall into the briar patch. And then Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is a curvy wild train that sends you through steep mountain passes into caves and under falling boulders. You don't want to miss it. The Mountains of Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World.
As I become older and older, I'm starting to enjoy
riding them
more. Less and less. I mean, I don't trust mankind that much. You know, you got mechanical things, and you always just think in the back of your mind, what if?
Now let's join Mike Gleason and Steve Israel in the studio for a Sports Center U in-game update. Gentlemen. All right, Notre Dame rolling. And like you said, Troy Smith probably has wrapped up his Heisman, and we say congratulations to the Buckeyes as Roll is getting up. I'm sure the game's not over yet, so I don't want to congratulate prematurely. But this one's not over yet. Still a little bit under 5 minutes to go. And, you know, this has been a game over the years where its momentum swings have decided where this game was going to end up in terms of who was going to win. As Rucker is back to pass, another penalty marker is down, and we have a pass that's complete on the near sideline to Coyle Daly, the senior out of Fort Lauderdale.
Now, what the officials are going to do, are going to call a flag on Bethune-Cookman. They should be upset with themselves. They allowed Bethune-Cookman to snap that ball. That should have been a no play. Teams weren't ready. The officials should have blown the whistle right away to say no play. No.
Well, why did they slap the ball if they weren't ready?
No, the official allowed them, but the official's supposed to get the ball and walk away and then give a signal to let the play go. He just sat there, put the ball on the ground, and went away. So that's, you know, that's not it. FAMU was 10 yards down the field, so Bethune-Cookman was going to catch him. You see how he's standing over the ball now? He wasn't doing that on the last play. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, but you still need to know when to snap the ball. It's still responsibility of the offensive team to understand what's going on, regardless of where the ball is or what the official does.
They didn't do an illegal shift, I thought, though. I think that was a bailout call to help out Florida A&M.
Now we're going to get a holding call as Rucker decides to take off and run, and he slides at the 31, 32-yard line. But the flag was dropped in the vicinity of holding. And Bethune is self-destructing, and Alvin Wyatt, he's saying...
He's got that look.
Yeah.
You know what that look means. I think every coach in America knows what that look is.
You like that belt buckle?
He's style. I mean, you know, win or lose, you know, if you're going to lose, go out in style, right? He's like Tony and everybody say he's the sharpest dressed coach in America.
Chauncey Hampton guilty of holding. Alvin Wyatt That's what's hurt them more than anything, especially the last one before this on the previous drive when they were on defense and had a 4th and 2 against Florida A&M, and they were offsides, and Florida A&M got new life and then went on and scored a touchdown. That was probably the biggest penalty of the ball game.
I mean, it was, because Bethune started to gain momentum, and they were, getting ready to possibly go down for a game-tying drive, and Florida A&M made them pay.
First down. Rucker throws wide open as Weems. Makes a move, tries to get to the outside and gets out of bounds and stops the clock. Let's go to the studio. Mike Gleason in studio in-game update.
Well, Charlie, Michigan is not going to go down without a fight. Chad Henne finds Tyler Ecker for a score.
They're still fighting, trying to get back in it.
And they got the 2-point conversion, 42-39. They just recovered. No, Ohio State has the onside kick, Charlie.
Well, they're trying to make it a ball game, I see.
If they would have come down with that onside kick, it would have been a ball game. But, what do you expect? Even though if you get down by 2 scores or more, with your season on the line, and for Michigan, that's what it was. National championship on the line, you got to give it all you've got.
Well, we talked to Reuben Carter. We talked about the strength of his particular team this year. And he said, your quarterback, number one, and Chester's shown that today. He talked about his wide receivers, and we all see that they have the ability to catch the ball. In fact, 8 receivers had 4 more catches coming into the ball game. 4 had 20 or more, and we've seen all 4 of those guys get into the end zone today. He said if there was anything as far as a weakness was concerned with his squad, is the youth. And we talked earlier about the fact that, he doesn't lose that many seniors. He only loses 2 on the defensive side of the ball, and that is Chris Wooten and Albert Williams, a pair of tackles. On the offensive side, he loses Leonard Black, a guard, Kyle Joyner, a tackle, Roosevelt Kaiser, and Gerard Morgan, along with another tackle, Dan Parrish. So he's only losing 7 seniors, and that is quite encouraging for him. It may be bad for the rest of the MEAC.
Yeah, I think so, but I will say this: the 2 he's losing on the defensive side of the ball are nose tackles. You're losing Chris Wood and Albert Williams. They've been the core of that defensive line, and it's always tough to replace 2 or more of those guys in 1 year because teams right away come out and try and run the football down your throat. So that's going to be key, finding replacements for them.
And we talked earlier in the game about the transfers on the defensive side of the ball for Bethune. One of the things when you look at Florida A&M's roster, you don't see a lot of transfers either from Division I or junior college programs.
Yeah, I think they've got so much legacy and tradition that that's not necessarily their cup of tea of what they choose to do. It's one of the things is they can go out and recruit with the rest of the big boys, and we'll take a transfer if it fits. But you talk about Rattler tradition, where Bethune-Cookman, they've had a rebuilding process. When Coach Wyatt first took over, he had to build the program up, and every so often you have rebuilding years during rebuilding processes, and that has been the case for Bethune-Cookman this season. But a lot of people in Daytona Beach, when we covered the game earlier, they really thought this was Coach Wyatt's best job of coaching.
Oh yeah. Especially with all the injuries and all the trying to get that chemistry. We talked about those transfers earlier, especially on the defensive side of the ball with Ronnie McCullough coming out of South Florida, University of South Florida. Raymond McCullough came from South Florida. You had Torian Charles came from the University of Florida. Eric Wilson came from Rutgers. Dennis King came from Central Florida. You had Balloon came out of South Florida. And Mons came out of Toledo. So you had, kids came from some pretty decent programs that transferred in here. But I think he's going to be a little skeptical of using a lot of D1 transfers in the future. He's going to go out and try to build from the ground up.
I think so, and that's what you got to do. I mean, I think transfers are a quick fix. They're not a long-term solution.
And a lot of times you're getting problems that you otherwise wouldn't have. Under pressure, Rucker gets it away, but the defense was coming for Florida A&M.
Right now, the offensive line for Bethune-Cookman, it's not like they're bringing a bunch of pressure. You got, 7 guys in there, and they're only rushing 4, and they're just missing their assignments, blowing the coverage and not protecting the quarterback. To allow an outside linebacker to come untouched on your quarterback with a running back that was in there that's supposed to block.
Rucker only 8 of 19 today. He has an interception. He also has a touchdown, and he's thrown for 98 yards. 3:33 the time remaining. When they were shut out by Howard, that is Bethune a week ago, it was the first home shutout since 1997. Here's a pass that was almost intercepted, and it should have been picked off downfield. What was that, Clark? He got his hand on it for Florida A&M. Gregory Clark, number 18, the cornerback. Rucker looks like he's hurting a little bit.
Yeah, he's been tough, and I think the fact that Russell's probably out of it doesn't give Coach Wyatt a number of options. I think that he's holding that right arm gingerly.
Third time in the second half that Bethune-Cookman College has punted. 3:27 remaining, and you look at Jimmy Russell, who's been relegated to the sideline here. As Roosevelt Kaiser's back to receive this one, he feels it, and there he comes back up the field, being chased from behind, gets to the corner, and is down inside the 30-yard line. But I think we have a penalty flag back at about the 36-yard line after the nice return by Roosevelt Kaiser. He let that bounce. Now, did he call for a fair catch? I'm trying to see what the penalty is going to be about. Well, the spot was way back at the 36-yard line, so that's going to move the ball all the way back inside the 30.
Yeah, but what a great, exciting return by Roosevelt Kaiser. Take a look up top and see they're calling that block before he even had the ball. That's something there you got to wonder there. And you talk about having the ability to cut on a dime. I think Roosevelt Kaiser can cut on a nickel.
No, you got to get something smaller than that. So that'll move it back to the 25-yard line. Fifth possession of the second half for Florida A&M. They've scored on all but one, and that was the first possession in which they had the punt. They scored 3 straight touchdowns the last 3 possessions, and they have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 26, leading by 2 touchdowns with under 3 minutes to go.
1st and 10 at the 26-yard line.
And a run into the secondary at FAMU, keeping the ball on the ground this time. Edwards with the carry, and 42-39 the final score. Ohio State wins it over Michigan. What a ball game, a 3-point affair. And I think Michigan still stays number 2, don't you, with a game that close?
Possibly, but no, there's a lot to be played. I mean, I think the key is the winner of that game got the automatic.
Right.
I don't think you keep there, because if USC, who's a number 3 team, if they beat Notre Dame and Cal and get hot at the end of the year, I think you got to reward them. They'll jump ahead, because Michigan doesn't have any more games to play.
Don't have any more games to play, but is it possible we see number 1 and number 2 of these same 2 play again for the national championship?
Now, it can happen. Yeah, it can happen, because there are a lot of other teams have a lot of games to play. The SEC has a conference championship game to play. USC, we mentioned the games they've got. Notre Dame, USC could win one game and lose the other game and just really mess up everything. Right. So Michigan still does have a chance. I mean, they do have a chance, but I think the key is going to be where do they drop them to. Now, let's not forget that team in the State University of New Jersey. They've got a big one. If they knock out West Virginia, there's a lot of talk that they could leapfrog to number 2 in the BCS.
And Florida's knocking on the door, too, right here in the state of Florida.
Yeah, but I got infatuated with Arkansas. I think Arkansas is the team to beat the SEC. I really do think that's going to happen. So I'm assuming one of those 2 teams will be there. And it's so tough in that conference. You got the championship game.
Another penalty for the Wildcats at Bethune-Cookman College. I think that's about the 15th penalty for them today. And that's not something you're very proud of. Those are the stats you don't like to talk about.
4th and 2.
Yeah, that's the one.
On the punt.
There it is.
Wow. 300 yards total offense. Oh, those are penalties.
Those are penalties.
Combined for over 300 yards in penalties.
25 penalties in the ball game, over 300 yards. And we still may make it by for our next game. Boy, I'll tell you, these running backs for FAMU are running very, very hard. We saw Demetric Henry. Now here's Anthony Edwards, a redshirt sophomore from Riverdale High in Atlanta. A young man we talked earlier in the game with 5 brothers and sisters. He's the 6th kid in that family, and he's used to running hard, huh?
You got to be. I think, while we got a moment, as Florida A&M looks like they're on their way to another victory, we've got to give a lot of credit to Reuben Carter and the job he's done.
Certainly did.
When he took over this FAMU program, it's always tough replacing a legend. And Billy Joe had become a legend in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
He got in there, and he won his first year. And this season, he's going to win 7 football games. And we talked earlier about the violations and probations, the trouble that he inherited. That wasn't his own doing. So I think, this has been an outstanding job and one of the better coaching jobs in the MEAC Conference this season.
Well, Howard University came out of victorious. They won their last 2 ball games. They won a week ago, 28-0 down in Daytona Beach. They won their season finale today at home, beating Delaware State, which was the 2nd best team in the MEAC up to this point. Yeah, 20-17, and Delaware State was very close to possibly getting an at-large bid, although I thought it was going to be hard for the conference to get 2 teams in. We know Hampton is automatically going. But the team that I'm very impressed with this year is a team that's a no-scholarship team, and that's San Diego. Jim Harbaugh is the coach out there. He played for Bo Schembechler at Michigan, and they're 10-0, and they have a quarterback in Josh Johnson, who's a #1 ranked quarterback in the nation in terms of running and passing. He has 585 yards running and 2,796 yards passing. He's run for 10 touchdowns, thrown for 32, and caught a touchdown pass, and has only thrown 4 interceptions. And they're going to get an at-large bid. They've got to.
He may get a piece of that Peyton Award. I think so. See, these guys don't know Coach Carter. He's not going to take this nicely at all.
Well, he's taking it. And here's a running. They're still running it up the field.
Oh, they got him twice. They got him twice.
Well, somebody was holding him the first time, one of the assistant coaches. He's not mad. He's not upset.
Yeah, but, you got to know your coach. He's not one of those guys. See, I played for Coach Carter when I was at Howard.
Yeah, but he was an assistant then.
You see that? He's still not happy. See, the key is after you drench him and the coach smiles at you, you're like, okay.
Leave him alone.
Yeah, but Coach Carter's still like, he wants to find out who did that.
Yeah. He's going to look at the tape. He's going to call for a review. He's going to have Fleming Williams, the referee, go under the hood and find out who did that.
Yeah. He'll ask me when the game is over, can I get a copy of that tape? And, the key is Coach Carter. He's one of those work guys. I think if he could, he'd come out there with a weight belt on.
No question.
Put a weight belt on and, pump some iron before the game.
Well, let's look at the MEAC standings. And for Bethune-Cookman, since Alvin came on board as the head coach, he'd only had 1 losing season. Today, with this loss with 48 seconds to go and down 2 touchdowns, he'll drop to 5-6 overall, 3-5 in the conference. FAMU goes to 5-3 in the MEAC and 7-4 in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Of course, Hampton lost. Their only loss was to South Carolina State, and they had an 18, I believe, game winning streak going on when they lost that one.
Look at those Aggies.
And of course, Delaware State lost to Howard today, 20-17. So here's Reuben Carter for the 2nd straight year. His first 2 years, not bad to come into the Florida Classic and come out victorious. They did it a year ago, and he's going to do it again today. This could be the last play of the ball game. And they're just keeping it on the floor, keeping it on the ground. And another player is shaken up.
Coach Wyatt, one thing about him, we know he'll be back.
Yes, he will.
We'll be back, and he's got the athletes down there, and that's tough to swallow. But I think any coach will tell you, the longer you stay in this game and profession, you're going to have losing seasons.
You're going to have those ups and downs. And he's been to the mountaintop.
And there are many coaches, trust me, that will take his bad seasons. There's some coaches that will settle on 5-6. So, it's not the 9-2, the 10-1 he got used to for a while. 5-6, the grand scheme of things, is 1 game below 500.
Leonard Black was the man who was shaken up on the play, the offensive lineman, senior from Fort Lauderdale and Cardinal Gibbons High.
You ever been to Jake Gator Stadium, Tallahassee?
Yes.
Whole stadium, all you hear is looks like the Rattlers got their bite back, Charlie.
They certainly do. And I heard it a little bit yesterday when we were over at MGM. And that's going to do it. Alvin Wyatt falls. And we'd like to thank Walt Disney World for all their hospitality and hosting this, the 27th edition of the Florida Football Classic. Once again, the final score, 35-21. Florida A&M comes out victorious. Coming up next on ESPNU Sports Center U. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, with Jay Walker and our entire crew. Charlie Neal saying so long from Orlando. Now let's go to Mike Gleason and Steve Israel in the studio.
All right, thanks a lot, Charlie. Coming up, Brian Brom leading his car.